The members will answer the roll call by indicating their presence on the electronic voting board. The clerk shall close the roll.
Madam Speaker, a quorum is present.
Pursuant to House Rule 3, I have examined and approved the Journal for the House of Delegates for Friday, February 21st, 2020. Motions and resolutions under Rule 39, pursuant to the provisions of Rule 40, are now in order. The clerk shall announce the first morning hour order of business, including any clerk's announcements or communications.
First morning hour order of business, pursuant to House Rule 40, the Speaker requests members to use their request to speak buttons. I have a couple of announcements. One, the Senate has insisted on its amendments and requested committees of conference on the following legislation: House Bill 259, House Bill 405, House Bill 648, House Bill 792, House Bill 861, House Bill 1150.
The delegate from Alexandria, Delegate Herring.
Madam Speaker, I move that the House accede to the request of the Senate for committees of conference on the previously reported legislation.
Shall the motion by Delegate Herring be adopted? All those in favor, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, the motion is adopted.
The Senate has rejected the House amendments to the following legislation: Senate Bill 105, Senate Bill 263, Senate Bill 593.
The delegate from Alexandria, Delegate Herring.
Madam Speaker, I move that the House insists on its amendments and request a committee of conference on the previously reported legislation.
Shall the motion by Delegate Herring be adopted? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, the motion is adopted.
The Senate has receded from its amendment to the following legislation: House Bill 519. Madam Speaker, that completes my announcements.
The delegate from Fairfax County, Delegate Tran.
Good afternoon, Madam Speaker. I rise for an introduction.
Delegate Tran, you have the floor.
Thank you. This afternoon, our invocation was given by Rabbi Daryl Crystal, the interim senior rabbi at my synagogue, Temple B'nai Shalom in Fairfax Station in the 42nd District. Rabbi Crystal is one of the leading interim rabbis for Reform Judaism. Since 2004, he has traveled the United States serving as interim rabbi for congregations undergoing rabbinical transition. He serves as the manager for the interim rabbi program for the Reform movement, which is responsible for training and consulting with all interim rabbis. Prior to his work as an interim rabbi, Rabbi Crystal served in various rabbinical leadership roles for 18 years at a congregation in New York. Lifelong learning is a passion for Rabbi Crystal. He was ordained at Hebrew Union College Jewish Institute of Religion and earned a bachelor's degree from the University of Maryland. He has also studied at Pardis Institute of Jewish Studies in Jerusalem, attended the Institute for Jewish Spirituality, and trained as a hospital chaplain at Northwestern Memorial Hospital. Rabbi Crystal has also pursued advanced training in the area of organizational development at Northwestern, Harvard, Case Western, and Gratz College. Rabbi Crystal's philosophy as an interim rabbi is to help synagogues affirm their ideals and learn how to build a sacred relationship with their new rabbi. And Madam Speaker, I just want to extend my heartfelt appreciation to Rabbi Crystal for helping my congregation transition from the retirement of our founding rabbi after more than 30 years to visioning our future and selecting a new rabbi. Rabbi Crystal has brought to our congregation his grace, wit, and spiritual and organizational leadership. And on a personal level, Rabbi Crystal's counsel was instrumental to my husband as he became a bar mitzvah this past year. My family and our congregation are incredibly grateful that Rabbi Crystal was walking with us on this journey, and we wish him the very best as he assumes a new position in July to guide another congregation through their transition. Please give Rabbi Crystal a warm house welcome.
Welcome, Rabbi Crystal. It's an honor and privilege for me to have had the opportunity to get to know you, but we're thrilled you're here today. Thank you for your inspiring invocation, and thank you for what you've done for Temple B'nai Shalom and so many synagogues throughout the country. Enjoy your day here today. Thank you. Delegate from Rockbridge, Delegate Campbell.
Madam Speaker, I request to call up out of order HJR 245 on page 51 of today's calendar.
Will the clerk please report the resolution?
House Joint Resolution Number 245, commemorating the life and legacy of Leslie Devon Smith, Jr.
All those in favor of the adoption of HJR 245?
Madam Speaker,
Yes, Delegate Campbell, you have the floor.
Madam Speaker, today we have the honor of having Leslie Devon Smith Jr.'s family with us. I hope that they're in the gallery. They will please rise. We have Mr. Smith's sister, LaRonda Turner, his nephew, Thomas Turner, and Mr. Smith was the first African American to graduate from Washington and Lee University School of Law and was honored with an exhibit at the institution for his trailblazing accomplishments. Mr. Smith spent 2 years working with the Department of Justice and was assigned to the Civil Rights Division, where he worked to ensure compliance with court-ordered desegregation efforts in school districts in the South. And in 1971, Mr. Smith was laid to rest in his hometown of Chuckatuck, where his headstone proudly bears the one-word epithet, attorney. As I stated before, Mr. Smith was a trailblazer for all, and when Mr. Turner came to me asking if I'd be willing to introduce a resolution, I was more than pleased to do so because of everything Mr. Smith means to the Washington and Lee community and his family. Madam Speaker, I hope it is the will of the body to endorse this resolution. I also ask the House today, when we adjourn, that we do so in the honor of Leslie Devon Smith, Jr.
All those in favor of the adoption of HJR 245 shall say aye. Aye. Those opposed, the resolution is adopted. Those in favor of this motion of honoring, of adjourning in the memory shall rise. The motion is agreed to. Thank you, Delegate Campbell. Delegate Subramaniam, delegate from Loudoun.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise for the purpose of an introduction.
You have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Today we have a group of students from Loudoun County Public Schools. If they're in the gallery, please rise. So they are here today to see the Capitol and to take notes for their civics projects. One of them is actually doing their civics project on me, and so if their teachers are watching, I asked that they give them an A+, and I hope it will be the will of the body to give them a warm house welcome.
It's wonderful to see the students from Loudoun County, and I hope you enjoy your day today. Thanks for coming. The delegate from Fairfax County, Delegate Corey.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise for a motion.
Delegate Corey, you have the floor.
The motion, Madam Speaker, is to take the Memorial Resolution 267 by for the day until Monday, the 2nd of March.
$267 will go by for the day.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The delegate from Hampton, Delegate Ward.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise for a motion.
Delegate Ward, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, ladies and gentlemen of the House, this morning we lost a true giant, one who walked among us quietly for decades. Most of us never even knew she existed. And I am speaking of Katherine Johnson, who helped pave the way for the first American astronaut to successfully orbit the Earth. And she died this morning at the age of 101 years old. The pivotal role of Katherine Johnson and other African American women of NASA were highlighted in the film Hidden Figures. Dr. Johnson helped our nation enlarge the frontiers of space, even as she made large strides that also opened the doors for women and people of color. NASA administrator even said her dedication and skill as a mathematician helped put humans on the moon, and before that made it possible for our astronauts to take the first steps in space that we now follow on the journey to Mars. Katherine Johnson was hired by NASA in 1953 and calculated the trajectory for Alan Shepard, the first American in space, before electronic computers were used. When John Glenn was preparing his mission, on which he'd become the first American to orbit the Earth, he requested that Katherine Johnson personally recheck the calculations made by electronic computers. According to John Glenn, he's noted as saying, "If she says it's good, then I'm ready to go." In her 33 years at NASA, she broke the barriers of race and gender, showing generations of young people that everyone can excel in math and science and reach the stars. We will never forget her courage and leadership and the milestones that we could not have reached without her. So although it has taken many decades for her to receive the recognition that she so rightly deserved, even here in this body, I have requested a center-out presentation for her, and we couldn't work it out. And that's the one thing I regret. So today, I'm asking that when we adjourn, we do so in the honor and the memory of Katherine Johnson, a hidden figure who will no longer be hidden. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
All those in favor of the delegate board moves that when the House adjourn, it adjourn in the honor and the memory of Katherine Johnson. All those in favor shall rise. The motion is agreed to. Delegate from Norfolk, Delegate Jones.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise for an introduction.
Delegate Jones, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members of the House, today joining us in the gallery are the Hampton Roads Committee of 200-plus men, and I'd ask that they stand. Since 1997, the 200-plus men has engaged in a number of activities designed to inform, educate, honor, and advocate for issues that help strengthen their communities. The organization works singularly and in tandem with individuals and groups and governmental units on shared goal efforts. One of their signature programs is its annual Caravan to Richmond, which brings them here today. It's a civic education initiative designed to expose African-American teens to the legislative process. Today, with us, we have about 25 young men from Hampton Roads area high schools with mentors and chaperones. They've traveled here by bus to visit with legislators and experience firsthand the inner workings of our representative democracy, and I'd ask the House to give them a warm welcome.
Welcome to the Hampton Roads Committee of 200-plus men, and we're thrilled to see you here today. Thanks for your leadership in the community, and I hope you enjoy your day here in Richmond. Thanks for joining us. Delegate from Rockbridge, Delegate Campbell.
Madam Speaker, I ask for a point of personal privilege.
Actually, we're not quite there yet, Delegate Campbell. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you called me.
The delegate from Chesapeake, Delegate Hayes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise for an introduction.
Delegate Hayes, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members of the House, we have visiting with us on the Capitol grounds and seated in the gallery are members and employees, medical professionals with Chesapeake Regional Hospital and Medical Center. Seated in the gallery, if you would please stand. Madam Speaker, members of the House, Chesapeake Regional Medical Center, the hospital is a leading provider in health care in the city of Chesapeake and South Norfolk. And in the late 1950s, a young doctor in South Norfolk, Dr. Stanley Jennings, started talking about a dream to give the people of Chesapeake our own hospital. And at that time, the only hospital was across the river into Norfolk. Many said it couldn't be done, but Dr. Jennings and a handful of other community leaders wouldn't take no for an answer. Dr. Jennings and many others, who was a beloved physician who frequently took patients late into the night and had a strong faith in the community medicine, began a grassroots effort to establish Chesapeake General Hospital in the city. And in 1966, this body saw the need for a hospital in the city of Chesapeake and voted to create Chesapeake Hospital Authority. It took 10 years to raise enough funds to finally build the hospital. The members of the community never lost faith, going door to door, asking for money, holding bake sales, spaghetti dinners, sporting events, and other fundraisers to raise enough money to begin its construction. The authority eventually got a $1 million grant, and in 1973, Dr. Jennings and the community broke ground. Jennings recruited Donald S. Buckley, who was then on the faculty of medical school at the University of North Carolina, to leave the university in 1972 to move to Chesapeake and dedicate his time to the hospital project as the first administrator. Madam Speaker, members of the House, eventually the hospital went on to open its doors and to see its first patients in 1976, and ever since has been providing quality, affordable care to the citizens there in the Chesapeake region, as well as the MSA of Hampton Roads. I hope it's the wishes of the body to extend to them a warm welcome from the House.
Welcome to all of you from the Chesapeake Regional Medical Center, and what a fabulous story you have. Thanks for sharing, and thanks for what you do every day. Enjoy your day here in Richmond. Delegate from Prince William, Delegate Guzman.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise for the purpose of 2 introductions.
Delegate Guzman, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I would like to introduce Caitlin Page, our reigning Miss Prince William County. I would ask her to please rise. Miss Prince William County is a senior at Southern New Hampshire University and plans to graduate with a Bachelor of Arts in Psychology with a mental health concentration. She will pursue a graduate degree in child psychology. Her passion is practicing advocacy in her everyday life and promoting advocacy amongst young people. Her own journey into advocacy began in her early teen years as she took a stand against bullying in her community. She learned that even one person can make an impact by speaking up for others. She is here today to advocate and learn about ways that she can support the educational endeavors within Prince William County and the state of Virginia. Today, Caitlin practices advocacy through the nonprofit organization that she co-founded at the age of 20, Empower Beginnings and Beyond. She is a prenatal and postnatal yoga instructor, teach no-cost classes to underserved families with the goal of promoting positive mental health and family attachment. Caitlin has recently begun the training to work as a court-appointed special advocate for neglected and abused children, a position that advocates for at-risk child's best interest in court. She always says, advocacy spreads like wildfire, it begins with one thing. She's honored to be here today and to serve the people of both Prince William and Virginia. I would ask Madam Speaker and members of this House to give Miss Prince William County a warm house welcome.
Congratulations, Caitlin, and on all that you've done so far in your young few years. And really what you've done is remarkable in founding this organization on such an important topic. And thank you for your advocacy and for representing Prince William and the Commonwealth so well. Welcome. Delegate Guzman.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The second introduction is about Empower Beginnings and Beyond. We have the founders here, and I would ask them to please rise. This organization serves as a bridge between the local community, educators, nurses, and instructors. Their goal is to make prenatal education classes, newborn care classes, and prenatal and postnatal yoga accessible to all at no cost. Empower Beginnings and Beyond recognize a disparity impacting maternal and infant mortality and will not accept a lack of basic educational access to all. They recognize there exists an unjust disparity between childbirth education resources available to those with the funds to obtain necessary life-saving education and those without. Their mission is to help correct this disparity and ensure the availability of such resources to everyone regardless of income, gender, age, nationality, sexual orientation, or background. Madam Speaker, members of this House, I hope you join me in giving a warm welcome to Empower Beginning and Beyond.
Welcome to the representatives from Empowered Beginnings and Beyond. It sounds like a fascinating organization, so thanks so much for what you're doing for so many people throughout the Commonwealth. Enjoy your day here today. The delegate from Alexandria, Delegate Herring.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise for an introduction.
Delegate Herring, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Today we are joined by graduates, current team members, and staff of Together We Bake. If they could please rise. Together We Bake is a nonprofit workforce training and personal development program for women in need based in Alexandria. The program serves women who are returning from the criminal justice system, experiencing homeless, or facing long-term employment. Also, women who have recently immigrated and who have survived abuse. This program teaches women about food production, food safety, education, and customer service. Their products include chocolate chips, cookies, cinnamon pecan granola, cinnamon apple chips, and trail mix, and I know I've seen their product in my local Whole Foods, so they're doing well. They provide empowerment and life skill classes through which women develop self-confidence, healthy coping strategies, and strong support network. I ask that all the members of the chamber give them a warm house welcome.
What a great organization, and I know it's founded by the amazing Vice Mayor of Alexandria, who I see up there as well. So congratulations on a job well done, and best of luck to you all. Great to see you. Enjoy your day here in Richmond. The clerk shall announce the next order of business.
Second morning hour order of business. The next order of business is the announcement of member requests to move legislation from any uncontested to regular calendar. On page 1 of the calendar, Senate Bill 794. Page 8 of the calendar, Senate Bill 587. Page 15, Senate Bill 818. Page 17, Senate Bill 967.
The clerk shall announce the next order of business.
Third morning hour order of business. The next order of business is the announcement of requests by members for legislation to go by for the day and the subsequent motion by the majority leader. Page 1 of the calendar, Senate Bill 794 will go by for the day. Page 5 of the calendar, Senate Bill 448. Page 6, Senate Bill 545. Page 7, Senate Bill 586. Page 17, Senate Bill 967. Also on 17, Senate Bill 996. Page 20, Senate Bill 916. Also on page 20, Senate Bill 11. Page 16, Senate Bill 546. Page 35, Senate Bill 1038. Page 46, House Joint Resolution 267. Page 48, House Joint Resolution 212. That completes the motions.
The delegate from Alexandria, Delegate Herring.
Madam Speaker, I move that the legislation as announced by the clerk go by for the day.
The delegate from Alexandria, Delegate Herring, moves that the legislation just announced by the clerk shall go by for the day. As many as favor that motion shall say aye. Aye. Those opposed, the motion is agreed to. The clerk shall announce the next order of business.
Fourth morning hour order of business. The next order of business is recognition of member requests for points of personal privilege. Please remember to use your request to speak buttons to be recognized.
The delegate from Rockbridge, Delegate Campbell.
Madam Speaker, I rise for a point of personal privilege.
Delegate Campbell, you have the floor.
Last week, Delegate Lindsay offered a parody that I wanted to expand on. I also have a wife and daughters. When one of the daughters is driving, I use this time to talk to her, trying to improve her defensive driving skills. As a parent, this will make me more comfortable in the future. Now, when the big boss is in the car, I also sit on the passenger side, trying to get the brake and the gas pedals to work. As I sit there, I can't see what's coming from behind us, but I can see what's in front of us. When I see an oversized load about a quarter of a mile ahead of us, I have to make a decision. Do I tell her to move to the left lane so we can start the process of moving by this obstacle, or do I sit there and allow her to run in behind the oversized load? A line of vehicles in the left lane will cut us off, and vehicles behind us will start to move into the passing lane, and we're left dealing with all these vehicles and the major problem in front of us. Last week, I offered a budget amendment to help with such a problem. I know that 0.75% is an odd request, but my local government experience taught me that you have to know where the funds are before you can spend them. Unknown to me, Senator Stanley was requesting 3% be added to the Senate budget. It was voted down, and Senator Sassaw told Senator Stanley they're not going to enforce the laws, they're not going to get a pay raise. This made the local news back home, and it was not well received. During the Second Amendment meetings with supervisors, I had 2 counties where the meetings were going to be so large that they were moved to local schools. In both of these counties, the 2 sheriffs that had a part in the location notification included a reminder to people that guns are not allowed on school property. They both followed up with deputies at these meetings to enforce the law. We have over 123 sheriffs, and only a few publicly voiced their displeasure with the assault weapons bill. Approximately 8,450 deputies are being affected by Senator Sassaw's remarks. I had 2 of my 4 sheriffs contact me this weekend and asked if possible that the deputies be considered for a pay raise. Sheriff's off if necessary. It didn't matter as long as we could take care of their staff. Madam Speaker, I hope that the Appropriations Committee, in conference with the Senate, will reconsider deputy pay raises and negotiate with the Senate for a substantial increase. In 2 years, our deputies will be making slightly above the new minimum wage. This is our oversized load. The question we're faced with is, do we get in the left lane or stay trapped behind this problem? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The delegate from Virginia Beach, Delegate Miyares.
Madam Speaker, I rise for a point of personal privilege.
Delegate Miyares, you have the floor.
Madam Speaker, I rise for this day in Black History Month to recognize an incredible Virginian and American, John Mercer Langston. He serves as the first president of Virginia State University and the first African American elected to the United States Congress from Virginia. The great Spanish writer Cervantes said, "Every man is the son of his works." And Congressman Langston's work was indeed mighty, and life-changing. He was born in 1829 as a slave in Louisa County, and as a child was able to get to his freedom in Ohio. He attended Oberlin College, studied law, and became the first known African-American lawyer west of the Alleghenies Mountain. During the Civil War, he was a tireless recruiter for the famed 54th Massachusetts Regiment. He later became the first dean of the Howard University School of Law, and he started a Sunday class studying just the law of Moses and the Bible, and his lectures became so famous they were even attended by Ralph Waldo Emerson. You can find a collection of his speeches online in the book Freedom and Citizenship. For a while there, he was as well known in our country as Frederick Douglass. He became close allied with President Ulysses S. Grant and was appointed as the first U.S. minister to Haiti. And it was back upon his visit back to the United States that a remarkable event happened that I wanted to make everybody in this body aware. It was buried actually in an introduction online, and it was on the Washington Star that I found online. It was his first return back to Louisa County, where he was born a slave. And this dates back to this article. It was from a former officer stationed in Gordonsville, Virginia. In Louisa County, on one of these occasions, John Langston, now the United States Minister to Haiti, was going to come speak at the Louisa County Courthouse. And although long, while free, and honorably distinguished, there had never been a time before where Mr. Langston had ever had a chance to safely visit his native county. He returns to Louisa County to give a speech at the courthouse, and he was promptly snubbed. To quote this article from the Washington Star, white people, however, took little note or interest of his return. I remember particularly trying to convince General Gordon, the county attorney, to be pleased with Mr. Langston and meet with him, and he refused. Mr. Langston returned to Louisa County. He was not even offered any location at the hotel of the village, but that did not deter him. He went anyway to the Louisa County Courthouse and began to speak. And this same General Gordon that had rejected and refused to meet with him because he was an African American was standing on the corner of the courthouse and started to listen. Minister Langston began referring to Virginia and Louisa County, and he started talking about the history of Virginia and the genuine affection he felt for this state and its potential of what it could be as a people. And then something remarkable changed. That crowd that at first was just made of freed men literally started to change in its composition. He spoke for 2 hours. And at the end, that same General Gordon that had rejected James Langston came up to him, and this is from the article. There was General Gordon crowding near Langston with irrespectable confession of homage springing from his eyes and pouring down his cheeks, paying honor to him. And the address continued for 2 additional hours of unflagging interest. That same hotel that refused Minister Langston then gave him a seat of honor at a dinner in his honor. And that same General Gordon that had rejected him invited him next day to his church and escorted him to the pulpit. What a remarkable effect Minister Langston had on individuals. In 1888, he ran for Congress in Virginia in the 4th District and won, except Congress refused to seat him until the Speaker ordered the clerk to recognize those in the opposition party to answer their roll call, which they did, and he was seated. He later stayed in Washington, D.C., practiced law, and his spirit was recognized by his grandnephew, Langston Hughes, one of the great poets of the Harlem Renaissance, with this final story I'd like to share with this body. Apparently there was a period of time where on certain streets they had problems with Congressman Langston going in his carriage because they dared to be seen as breaking down the color barrier. And this is from Langston Hughes. Langston got out, took his axe, and chopped down the wooden barrier that was keeping him from traveling on that road, while his coachman held his gloves. From then on, without hindrance, he rode behind his horses throughout the streets of Washington without hindrance. What a man, what an American, what a Virginian, first president of Virginia State University, first dean of the Howard School of Law, and the first congressman from the 4th District, Virginia. Thank you, Your Honor, for this moment.
The delegate from Chesapeake, Delegate Hayes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise for a point of personal privilege.
Delegate Hayes, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, members of the House. Continuing on with this moment that we pause to recognize heroes and sheroes during this month of February, during Black History Month. Today, we spotlight Araminta Ross. Madam Speaker, members of the House, there was a 19th century Negro spiritual which said, when it looked like the sun wasn't going to shine anymore, God put a rainbow in the clouds. The words of that song, put together with such a memory of a song we so affectionately know and understand and carry in our hearts, was brought generation after generation, which simply said that it was the faith that the dark past had taught us that brought us along. Madam Speaker, in 1822, Araminta Ross, better known as Minty, was born into slavery. She later adopted her mother's name, Harriet, and then married John Tubman to become later known as Harriet Tubman. Tubman escaped and subsequently made several missions to rescuing many enslaved people, including family members and friends, using a network of anti-slavery activists and safe houses known as the Underground Railroad. Madam Speaker, members of the House, if we just imagine in our short trip from our home destination coming here to the Capitol, 2-hour drive, sometimes we think about how difficult the drive may be as we complain because of the heat of 90-degree weather while we sit in air-conditioned vehicles coming along the highway. Wow. Harriet Tubman, in her 20s, traveled similar distance from Baltimore to Philadelphia, not in an air-conditioned vehicle, but on foot, traversing much threatened territory, trying to satisfy a yearning internally, a burning desire to be free. We know in this country we commonly refer to understanding that we hold these truths as self-evident that all men are created equal. We also go on to say that there are certain inalienable rights, among them life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that we commonly bond and share and enjoy. But we also know that that wasn't always adhered to, Madam Speaker, members of the House. And so as Harriet Tubman in her 20s went on traversing towards freedom and finally getting to a destination in Philadelphia, becoming free, she wasn't she wasn't such a selfless person that she just stayed once she became free. She was selfless in deciding to go back again and again to help others to freedom. Madam Speaker, members of the House, the interesting point when being interviewed later in her life, she was asked the question, how many people do you think you helped become free? And obviously it was the many trips that she made to help people become free, but it was also her work in other parts of the country fighting for hundreds more to become free. Her response to the question, though, was profound. She said that I would have helped more become free if they only knew that they were enslaved. This 5-foot giant, Harriet Tubman, was what we call today woke. She was awake. And as a civil rights icon from the 77th House District, Dr. Hugo Owens put pen to paper and wrote about a person similar to a Harriet Tubman. He wrote that one woman awake can awaken another. The second can awaken her next door brother. The three of them awake can make such a fuss that finally it awakens the rest of us. One woman awake with vision in her eyes multiplies. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The clerk will please call the calendar.
House calendar for February 24th. Senate bills on third reading uncontested calendar. Page 1, Senate Bill 794 has been moved to the regular calendar. Page 2, Senate Bill 41, a bill to amend and reenact Section 22.1361 of the Code of Virginia relating to the Virginia Council on the Interstate Compact on Educational Opportunity for Military Children membership. Reported from Education.
The delegate from Sussex County, Delegate Tyler.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Senate Bill 41 simply just add 2 non-legislative citizen members to the Virginia Council on the Interstate Compact on Educational Opportunity for Military Children, one of who is a parent of a military child to be appointed by the governor, and one of whom's military spouse serving on the Department of Education Military Student Support Process Action Team to be appointed by the Superintendent of Public Instruction. I ask the body to pass the bill.
Senate Bill 93, a bill to amend the Code of Virginia by adding in Article 3 of Chapter 17 of Title 58.1, a section numbered 58.1, 1718.01, relating to taxes on wills and administrations, exemption for victims of the Virginia Beach mass shooting, emergency. Reported from Finance.
The delegate from Virginia Beach, Delegate Converse Fowler.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. SB 93 is identical to HB 839 that I presented, and it passed this body unanimously, 97-0, on January 28th. I hope it's the pleasure of the body to pass the bill.
Senate Bill 130, a bill to amend and reenact Section 3209 of the Code of Virginia relating to the scheduled expiration of the Commission on Electric Utility Regulation. Reported from Rules.
The delegate from Newport News, Delegate Mullen.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, SB 130 extends the expiration of the Commission on Electronic Utility Regulation from July 1st, 2020 to July 1st, 2022. I hope it would be the pleasure of this body to pass the bill.
Page 3, Senate Bill 177, a bill to amend and reenact Section 3329 of the Code of Virginia relating to Autism Advisory Council, sunset. Reported from Rules.
The delegate from Newport News, Delegate Mullen.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. SB 177 extends the sunset of the Autism Advisory Council from July 1st, 2020 to July 1st, 2022. I would ask that the body pass the bill.
Senate Bill 214, a bill to amend and reenact Section 64.2, 2003 of the Code of Virginia relating to guardianship, review of individualized education plan. Reported from Courts of Justice.
The delegate from Alexandria, Delegate Herring.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. SB 214 provides that if a respondent to a guardianship or conservatorship petition is between 17 and a half and 21 years of age and has an individualized education plan, the guardian ad litem appointed to represent the respondent shall review the IEP and include the results of his review and the report required to be submitted to the court. I move that the bill be passed.
Senate Bill 229, a bill to amend and reenact Section 8.01, 271.1 of the Code of Virginia relating to signature defects on pleadings, motions, and other papers. Reported from Courts of Justice.
The delegate from Chesapeake, Delegate Lefwich.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, members of the House. This bill is identical to my House Bill 1378, which passed the body 97-0. It simply sets a procedure to fix defective pleadings. Move passage of the bill.
Page 4, Senate Bill 262, a bill to amend the Code of Virginia by adding a section numbered 29.1305.01 relating to a special license to hunt elk. Reported from Agriculture, Chesapeake, and Natural Resources.
The delegate from Halifax, Delegate Edmonds.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, Senate Bill 262 is the same as my bill, which passed the House 97-0, which allows the Department of Game and Inland Fisheries to promulgate regulations for the establishment of an elk tag in Virginia, including the fees for the license itself. Madam Speaker, I hope it will be the pleasure of the House to pass the bill.
Senate Bill 294, a bill to amend and reenact Section 19.2149 of the Code of Virginia relating to bail bondsmen, petition for return of deposit for surrender of principal, deposit of funds credited to literary fund, reported from courts of justice.
The delegate from Alexandria, Delegate Herring.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. SB 294 provides that if a bail bondsman does not petition the court for the return of funds deposited for the surrender of his principal within 15 days from the surrender of the principal, the deposited funds shall be paid into the state treasury to be credited to the literary fund. The bill is recommendation of the Committee on District Courts and is identical to HB 136. I move that the bill be passed.
Senate Bill 312, a bill to amend and reenact Section 19.2-295.2:1 of the Code of Virginia relating to post-release incarceration of felons sentenced for certain offenses, reported from courts of justice with substitute.
The delegate from Norfolk, Delegate Jones.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move the committee substitute.
Shall the committee substitute be agreed to? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed? The committee substitute is agreed to. Delegate Jones.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Senate Bill 312 is now identical to my House Bill 752 that passed this body 99-0 on January 31st. It clarifies certain language across several code sections related to the supervision of felons after they are released. This is a recommendation of the Judicial Council. I hope the body will pass the bill.
Page 5, Senate Bill 336, a bill to amend and reenact Section 29.1316 of the Code of Virginia relating to special fishing permits for certain youth camps, reported from Agriculture, Chesapeake, and Natural Resources.
The delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Plum.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Madam Speaker, thank you. The Senate Bill 336 allows the supervisors of children in special tax-exempt youth camps who now can fish without a license to allow those supervisors to do as well. Hope to be the pleasure of the House to pass the bill.
Senate Bill 448 has gone by for the day. Senate Bill 463, a bill to amend the Code of Virginia by adding a section numbered 22.1-271.8 relating to sudden cardiac arrest prevention in student athletes, reported from Education.
The delegate from Sussex, Delegate Tyler.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Senate Bill 463 simply directs the Board of Education to develop two times update and distribute to each local school division guidelines on policies to inform and educate coaches, student athletes, and student athletes' parents or guardian about the nature and risk of sudden cardiac arrest procedures for removal from the return to play and the risk of not reporting symptoms. The bill also requires local school division to develop and biannually update policy and procedures regarding the identification and handling of symptoms that may lead to sudden cardiac arrest in student athletes. I ask the body to pass the bill.
Page 6, Senate Bill 499, a bill to amend and reenact Section 18.2-254.2 of the Code of Virginia relating to specialty dockets, veterans docket, with an emergency clause, reported from courts of justice.
The delegate from Alexandria, Delegate Herring.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. SB 499 provides that any veterans docket authorized and established as a local specialty docket in accordance with the rules of the Supreme Court of Virginia shall be deemed a Veterans Treatment Court Program, as that term is used under federal law or by any other entity, for the purpose of applying for, qualifying for, or receiving any federal grants, other federal money, or money from any entity designated to assist or fund such state programs. The bill does contain an emergency clause. I move that the bill be passed.
Senate Bill 515, a bill to amend and reenact Section 22.1, 79.1 of the Code of Virginia relating to the opening of the school year, Northern Neck Technical Center. Reported from Education.
The delegate from Sussex County, Delegate Tyler.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Senate Bill 515 simply permits the school board of any school divisions from which students attend Northern Neck Technical Center to set the school calendar so that the first day that the students are required to attend school is earlier than Labor Day, including earlier than 14 days before Labor Day. I ask the body to pass the bill.
Senate Bill 545 has gone by for the day. Page 7, Senate Bill 580, a bill to authorize the issuance of bonds in an amount up to $279,470,000 plus financing costs pursuant to Article 10, Section 9C of the Constitution of Virginia for paying costs of acquiring, constructing, and equipping revenue-producing capital projects at institutions of higher learning of the Commonwealth, to authorize the Treasury Board by and with the consent of the Governor to fix the details of such bonds, to provide for the sale of such bonds, and to issue notes to borrow money in anticipation of the issuance of the bonds, to provide for the pledge of the net revenues of such capital projects and the full faith, credit, and taxing power of the Commonwealth for the payment of such bonds, to provide that the interest income on such bonds and notes shall be exempt from all taxation by the Commonwealth and any political subdivision thereof, and to amend and reenact Section 2 of the first enactment of Chapters 285 and 358 of the Acts of Assembly of 2018 to change the project title for a project for the College of William and Mary in Virginia with an emergency clause. Reported from Appropriations.
Delegate from Prince William, Delegate Torian.
Madam Speaker, can that bill go by temporarily, please?
All those in favor of SB 580 going by temporarily shall say aye. Those opposed, goes by temporarily.
Senate Bill 586 has gone by for the day. Senate Bill 587 has been moved to the regular calendar. Page 9, Senate Bill 594, a bill to amend and reenact Section 22.1, 280.2:2 of the Code of Virginia relating to the Public School Security Equipment Grant Act of 2013, eligible security equipment. Reported from Education.
The delegate from Sussex County, Delegate Tyler.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Senate Bill 594 simply just clarifies security-related devices located outside of the school building on school property and security-related devices located on school buses as eligible security equipment under the Public School Security Equipment Grant Act of 2013. I ask the body to pass the bill.
Senate Bill 600, a bill to repeal Chapter 123 of the Acts of Assembly of the Extra Session of 1901 and several other Acts of Assembly chapters relating to elementary and secondary schools and institutions of higher education in the Commonwealth, racial segregation. Reported from Rules.
The delegate from Newport News, Delegate Mullen.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, on SB 600, we are repealing a number of truly racist pieces of language within our code related to K through 12 and higher education. I hope it would be the pleasure of the body to pass the bill.
Page 10, Senate Bill 607, a bill to amend and reenact Sections 2.2, 4340, and other sections of the Code of Virginia relating to Virginia Public Procurement Act, Statute of Limitations on Action on Construction Contracts, Statute of Limitations on Actions on Performance Bonds. Reported from Courts of Justice.
The delegate from Montgomery, Delegate Hurst.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I have a motion. Can Senate Bill 607 go to the regular calendar?
Senate Bill 607 will be moved to the regular calendar.
Madam Speaker, if
Delegate
it's
Hurst.
proper posture right now, I would also move that Senate Bill 607 go by for the day.
All those in favor of SB 607 going by for the day shall say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, SB 607
Thank you.
will go by for the day.
Senate Bill 636, a bill to repeal Chapters 270, 284, 287, 302, and 324 of the Acts of Assembly of 1908 and other chapters of various Acts of Assembly relating to obsolete acts, racial inequity. Reported from Rules.
The delegate from Newport News, Delegate Mullen.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, SB 636 comes as a direct result of the Governor's Commission to Examine Racial Inequity in Virginia Law, and this encompasses many of their recommendations in repealing discriminatory language from the Code. I think it would be the pleasure of this body to pass the bill.
Senate Bill 679, a bill to amend the Code of Virginia by adding a section numbered 62.1 256.2 relating to the Eastern Virginia Groundwater Management Advisory Committee established. Reported from Agriculture, Chesapeake, and Natural Resources with amendments.
The delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Plum.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move the adoption of the amendments.
Shall the committee amendments be agreed to? All those in favor, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, the committee amendments are agreed to. Delegate Plum.
Senate Bill 679 reestablishes the Eastern Virginia Groundwater Management Advisory Committee to assist the Department and the State Water Commission in the management of groundwater in the Eastern Virginia Groundwater Management Area. Hope to be the pleasure of the House to pass the bill.
Page 11, Senate Bill 683, a bill to amend and reenact Section 19.2 169.1 of the Code of Virginia relating to competency to stand trial, outpatient treatment. Reported from Courts of Justice with substitute.
The delegate from Alexandria, Delegate Herring.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move the committee substitute.
Shall the committee substitute be agreed to? All those in favor, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, the committee substitute is agreed to. Delegate Herring.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, members of the committee. This bill has to do with restorative treatment for a person incompetent to stand trial, but with outpatient treatment, and receiving treatment. The substitute added that the outpatient treatment may occur in a local correctional facility or a location determined by the appropriate community services board. I move that the bill be passed.
Senate Bill 693, a bill to amend the Code of Virginia by adding a section numbered 8.01 220.1:5 relating to common law defense of intra-family immunity, abolished in certain cases. Reported from Courts of Justice.
The delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Simon.
Madam Speaker, this bill actually is an excellent bill. I was very excited to see this come through the Civil Law Subcommittee from Senator Obenshane. What this bill actually does is it creates a cause of action for one parent against another in that situation where perhaps a parent has left a loaded firearm in a place where it shouldn't be, and a child gets a hold of it and unfortunately dies as a result of that incident. It actually abolishes common law defense that you can't sue a fellow family member for wrongful death. So it addresses that situation. I think it's a great gun safety bill. It does a number of other things, a number of other situations that would also apply, but I think it's a great gun safety bill. We should all vote for it, and I hope that this bill will pass.
Senate Bill 700, a bill to amend and reenact Sections 17.1 249 and 64.2 409 of the Code of Virginia relating to indexing of wills. Reported from Courts of Justice with amendments.
The delegate from Alexandria, Delegate Herring.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move the committee amendments.
Shall the committee amendments be agreed to? All those in favor, say aye. All those opposed? Committee amendments are agreed to.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and members of the House. This bill provides that a will shall be indexed in the name of the executor as listed in such instrument. The amendment made it clear that the executor must be qualified when the name is indexed. Delays in the application of the bill for the clerk's office that do not currently have an electronic program capable of indexing wills in the name of the executor. I move that the bill be passed.
Page 12. Senate Bill 722, a bill to repeal Chapter 580 of the Acts of Assembly of 1901 and other chapters of other Acts of Assembly relating to racial segregation in public facilities and common carriers on public documents and within the office of the State Registrar. Reported from Rules.
The delegate from Newport News, Delegate Mullen.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, SB 722 repeals about 60 years' worth of segregation-related language for public facilities and common carriers. I hope it would be the pleasure of this body to pass the bill.
Page 13, Senate Bill 734, a bill to direct the Secretaries of Education and Health and Human Resources to establish a work group to study the current process for approval of residential psychiatric services. Reported from Rules with substitute.
The delegate from Arlington, Delegate Hope.
Madam Speaker, I move the committee substitute.
Shall the committee substitute be agreed to? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the committee substitute is agreed to. Delegate Hope.
Madam Speaker, members of the body, the bill now does exactly what the clerk says it does. This is identical to my House Bill 728, which passed this body on February 7th, 100 to 0. I move passage of the bill.
Senate Bill 745, a bill to amend and reenact Section 58.1-321 of the Code of Virginia relating to income tax exclusion, student loan forgiveness, disabled veterans, reported from Finance.
The delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Helmer.
Madam Speaker, this bill provides an individual income tax exclusion for 100% service-disabled veterans for the discharge of certain student loans. I hope it will be the pleasure of this body to pass the bill.
Senate Bill 768, a bill to require the Commissioner of Behavioral Health and Developmental Services to convene a work group to study expanding the categories of individuals who may conduct evaluations to determine whether a person meets the criteria for temporary detention. Reported from Rules with substitute.
The delegate from Newport News, Delegate Mullen.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I move the committee substitute.
Shall the committee substitute be agreed to? All those in favor, say aye. All those opposed, the committee substitute is agreed to. Delegate Mullen.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. At this time, this is identical to HB 1699, which passed out of this body with I'm sure, a very positive vote, but I don't remember off the top of my head. So I would hope it would be the body's pleasure to pass this bill.
Page 14, Senate Bill 771, a bill to amend and reenact Section 8.01, 670.1 of the Code of Virginia relating to interlocutory appeals, immunity, reported from courts of justice.
The delegate from Alexandria, Delegate Herring.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. SB 771 is a recommendation of the Boyd Grays Conference. The bill provides that when a circuit court has entered into any pending civil action, an order or a decree that is not otherwise appealable, a party may file in such court a motion requesting that the court certify the order or decree for interlocutory appeal. The bill further provides that the certification is opposed by any party. The parties may brief the motion. The bill also contains other procedure, and I move that the bill be passed.
Senate Bill 772, a bill to amend and reenact Section 29.1540 of the Code of Virginia relating to transportation of bait fish for sale penalty, reported from Agriculture, Chesapeake, and Natural Resources with amendment.
The delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Plum.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move the adoption of the Emergency Clause Amendment.
Shall the committee amendment be agreed to? All those in favor, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, the committee amendment is agreed to. Delegate Plum.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. When the committee learned of the practices happening in our southern borders of Virginia about the transport and sale outside of the state down into North Carolina of various river herring, alewife, threadfin shad, and gizzard shad for bait, they decided it was such a problem that we need to put an emergency clause on. But apparently, Madam Speaker and ladies and gentlemen of the House, it is really big business now that on our inland lakes in southern Virginia, there are people who make it a business of seining the fish and taking them into North Carolina and selling them as bait. This will put them out of business. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Madam Speaker.
Yes, delegate from Spotsylvania, Delegate Cole.
Could this bill go to the regular calendar?
Senate Bill 772 on page 14 of the calendar will go to the regular calendar. Senate Bill 774, a bill to amend and reenact Section 29.1521 of the Code of Virginia relating to big game hunting, guaranteed kills prohibited, penalty, reported from Agriculture, Chesapeake, and Natural Resources.
The delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Plum.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Senate Bill 774 prohibits the offering for sale, selling, offering to purchase, or purchasing a hunt guaranteeing the killing of a deer, bear, or wild turkey. What would be the pleasure of the House to pass the bill?
Page 15 of the calendar, Senate Bill 818 has been moved to the regular calendar. Senate Bill 850, a bill to repeal Chapter 346 of the Acts of Assembly of 1914 and other chapters of other Acts of Assembly relating to repeal of various chapters of the Acts of Assembly of previous years. Reported from Rules.
The delegate from Newport News, Delegate Mullen.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. SB 850 repeals Acts of the Assembly from 1914, 1916, 1920 related to the establishment and expansion of Central State Colony for feeble-minded colored persons. I hope it would be the pleasure of this body to pass this bill.
Senate Bill 874, a bill to repeal Chapter 300 of the Acts of Assembly of 1901 and other chapters of other Acts of Assembly relating to segregated accommodations and segregation districts for residents, reported from Rules.
The delegate from Fredericksburg, Delegate Cole.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Senate Bill 874 is cognate to my House Bill 857. This bill repeals outdated segregation era sections of the code, which enforces separate accommodations for white and black passengers on steamboats, as well as the designation of segregation districts of residences. I would ask the pleasure of the body for this to pass. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Page 16, Senate Bill 881, a bill to amend and reenact sections 10.1, 2202, and other sections of the Code of Virginia relating to historical African American cemeteries and graves, Fund, reported from Agriculture, Chesapeake, and Natural Resources with substitute.
The delegate from Richmond City, Delegate McQuinn.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I move the committee substitute.
Shall the committee substitute be agreed to? All those in favor, say aye. All those opposed, the committee substitute is agreed to. Delegate McQuinn.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, Senate Bill 881 creates the Historical African American Cemetery and Grave Fund to be administered by DHR, and this bill is identical to mine, House Bill 1523. I hope it be the will of the body to pass the bill.
Senate Bill 896, a bill to repeal chapters 454, 463, and 55 and 554 of the Acts of Assembly of 1901 and other chapters of other Acts of Assembly relating to segregation in transportation, reported from Rules.
The delegate from Norfolk, Delegate Jones.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Senate Bill 896 is identical to my House Bill 914 that repeals certain acts facilitating segregation in rail cars, streetcars, and buses. I move that we pass the bill.
Senate Bill 951, a bill to amend and reenact Section 25.1204 of the Code of Virginia relating to eminent domain, written offer to purchase property, reported from Courts of Justice.
The delegate from Alexandria, Delegate Herring.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. SB 951 requires a condemner's written offer to purchase property prior to instituting a condemnation proceeding. In its written statement, the amount established as just compensation to be on such condemner's letterhead and signed by an authorized employee of such condemner. Move that the bill be passed.
Page 17, Senate Bill 967 has been moved to the regular calendar. Senate Bill 996 has gone by for the day. Senate Bill 1020, a bill to amend the Code of Virginia by adding a section number 22.1-279.3:3 relating to public schools, alternative accountability process, assault and battery without bodily injury, reported from Education.
The delegate from Sussex County, Delegate Tyler.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Senate Bill 1020 simply allows a school board to adopt an alternative school discipline process to provide a principal and parties involved in an incident involving assault or assault and battery without bodily injuries that occurs on a school bus or school property, or at a school-sponsored event, an option to enter into a mutually agreed-upon process between the involved parties as an alternative to reporting such incidents to law enforcement. This bill passed the committee with a vote of 21-0, and I ask the body to pass the bill.
The House will be at ease.
Wait, she's back in.
The clerk shall continue with the calendar.
Madam Speaker,
Delegate from Albemarle, Delegate Bell.
Could we move Senate Bill 1020 on page 17 to the regular calendar, please? I make that request.
Senate Bill 1020 on page 17 of the calendar will move to the regular calendar. Page 18, Senate Bill 1071, a bill to amend and reenact Section 19.2, 327.1 of the Code of Virginia relating to post-conviction testing of DNA, reported from courts of justice.
The delegate from Alexandria, Delegate Herring.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And members of the House, SB 1071 permits private laboratories that are accredited and follow the appropriate quality assurance standards issued by the FBI to complete post-conviction testing of DNA evidence. I move that the bill be passed.
Senate Bill 1094, a bill to authorize the Department of Conservation and Recreation to divest itself of certain property that was conveyed to it by Norfolk Southern Railroad for the New River Trail State Park, reported from Agriculture, Chesapeake, and Natural Resources.
The delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Plum.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Senate Bill 1094 allows the Department of Conservation and Recreation to divest itself of a tenth of an acre of property for which it has no use. I'll be the pleasure of the House to agree to the bill.
Returning to page 7 of the calendar, Senate Bill 580, and the title has been read, it went by temporarily and the title's been read.
The delegate from Prince William, Delegate Torian.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, Senate Bill 580 authorized the issuance of bonds in an amount up to $279,470,000 for revenue-producing capital projects at institutions of higher learning. The bill does have an emergency clause on it. I move that the bill be passed.
Shall the bills pass? The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 100, nays 0, abstentions 0.
Ayes 100, nays 0, abstentions 0. The bills pass. The House will be at ease. The House will come to order. Delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Simon.
Madam Speaker, I rise for a motion.
Delegate Simon, you have the floor.
Madam Speaker, having voted on the prevailing side by which we took Senate Bill 1038 on page 35 by for the day, I move that we now reconsider that vote.
Delegate Simon moves that having voted on the prevailing side, that the House reconsider the vote SB 1038 on page 35. The reconsider SB 1038, on page 35. All those in favor shall say aye. Yes, Delegate from Shenandoah, Delegate Gilbert.
Will the delegate yield for a question?
Will the delegate yield?
I'll yield.
The delegate will yield.
Madam
Delegate
Speaker,
Gilbert.
this came up the other day. Part of our, courtesies, general courtesies that we extend one another in this body, allow us to take bills by for the day if we have questions. And we took a bill by for the day the other day. It was then brought back up by the majority, and then we're doing it again today. Are we just wondering what the reason is why we are abandoning the protocol in this particular case?
Delegate Simon.
Madam Speaker, I'd answer the gentleman that we're not abandoning the protocol, that I've actually visited with the delegate who asked it to go by for the day originally, and let that delegate know that we have decided that it's not going to go by for the day. She understands, and we'll vote accordingly.
I appreciate the gentleman's explanation.
Thank you,
Madam
Delegate
Speaker.
Gilbert. The clerk shall continue with the calendar. All those in favor to go by for the day, SB 1038 on page 25 shall say aye. Reconsider. Actually, I'm sorry. All those in favor of SB 1038 being reconsidered, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, SB 1038 will be reconsidered. Delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Simon.
Madam Speaker, parliamentary inquiry.
Delegate Simon.
Now that it's been reconsidered, will it go back on the calendar in its original spot, or is it going to go to the end of the calendar?
Original spot, I believe.
Okay.
Original spot.
Thank you,
Delegate
Madam
Simon.
Speaker.
Will the clerk please continue with the calendar?
Senate bills on third reading regular calendar. Page 19, Senate Bill 868, a bill to amend and reenact sections 2.2, 520, and other sections of the Code of Virginia relating to prohibited discrimination, public accommodations, employment, housing and credit, causes of action, sexual orientation, and gender identity, reported from general laws.
Madam Speaker.
Is this the one that just went by temporarily? There is a floor substitute and a floor amendment.
Madam Speaker?
The delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Simon.
Parliamentary inquiry.
Delegate Simon, you have the floor.
So, Madam Speaker, I see that there are two floor amendments. One is a floor substitute, which is, I think, fairly broad and addresses the entire subject of the bill. And then there's another floor amendment, which is fairly narrow and addresses just one specific exemption. Is it not correct that we would have to first take up the floor substitute, as it's much broader in scope, before we could address the floor amendment?
That is correct. We will begin with the floor substitute. The delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Sickles.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, this bill, SB 868, is similar to my bill, HB 1414. There were a few amendments that were sought by the business community that are addressed in this substitute. Number one, on page 282, it clarifies that businesses subject to federal requirements for security clearances may condition employment or access consistent with federal requirements. I'm not sure that was needed, but anyway, it's in here, belt and suspenders. The second amendment on line 315, this amendment would strike the phrase "without limitation otherwise imposed by law" with regard to punitive damages, which would be imposed on employers who engage in discriminatory behavior. And so that language is stricken from the bill, and it is, like every other section of the code, is covered by 8.01-38.1, which is the Virginia punitive damages cap of $350,000. The Amendment 3 and most of the new language is on lines 321 to 364 and describes a process whereby you wouldn't go straight to court, but there would be administrative remedies through the Attorney General's office and the Human Rights Division. That's what this section does. It is kind of administrative type language, and you can read through the process that it has in there, but that's what it does. The business community did not want to go straight to court, and there is a tradition in Virginia of using the federal EEOC model where our Attorney General's office actually helps with the fact-finding and analysis of the process for EEOC, and they have their administrative penalties, and then most of those, I understand, go to federal court, and this section is intended to mirror that type of process. So those are the amendments, Madam Speaker, and I would move that we pass the bill.
Delegate from Shenandoah, Delegate Gilbert.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Would the delegate yield for a question?
Will the delegate yield? Delegate yields. Delegate Gilbert.
And I want to say first, I appreciate the gentleman trying to address some of the concerns about the bill in the area of litigation. Am I correct that although there is a punitive damage cap, that compensatory damages for things like emotional distress are still uncapped, as are the attorney's fees? And further, Madam Speaker, I would ask the gentleman if this bill appears to, in addition to its stated goal, upend Virginia agency law in employment. So whereas an individual manager or something of that nature, employee of a business, could be sued in their own name, do the, in fact, lack of a compensatory cap, attorney's fees, and agency changes, do those remain in place?
Delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Sickles.
There is no, on this administrative process, no cap on compensatory damages. As far as it affects other actions taken under a current law, and whether there is a compensatory damages cap that this overrides, I do not think it does.
Madam Speaker.
Delegate Gilbert.
Would the delegate yield for a further question?
Would the delegate yield?
I'll yield.
I'm once again engaged in the compound question that I was rightfully chastised for previously. So the second part of my question was, do the changes to agency, how an agent of a business could be sued in their own personal name, do those, what I would consider sweeping changes, remain in the legislation?
Delegate Sickles.
I do not think so, Madam Speaker. I'd answer the gentleman.
Delegate Gilbert.
All right, I thank the gentleman.
Thank you. Shall the committee substitute be adopted? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? The committee substitute is agreed to. Delegate Sickles.
Madam Speaker, I would move passage of the bill.
Okay.
Madam Speaker.
I believe, Delegate, will the clerk please? Delegate Gilbert, Delegate from Shenandoah.
Madam Speaker, I would I would respectfully move that the bill go by temporarily. I thought that was the understanding that we were going to have.
Delegate from Fairfax, Delegate
Madam
Sickles.
Speaker, yes, I forgot that I was supposed to say that when you called on me the last time. But yes, can the bill go by temporarily so that an amendment can be prepared?
All those in favor of SB 868 going by temporarily shall say aye. Those opposed, the bill will go by temporarily.
Senate Bill 662, a bill to amend the Code of Virginia by adding in Article 2 of Chapter 3 of Title 40.1, a section numbered 40.1, 33.1, relating to prohibiting employers from retaliating against employees for reporting employee misclassification, civil penalty, reported from Labor and Commerce.
The delegate from Fairfax County, Delegate Tran.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Senate Bill 662 is the mirror of my bill, House Bill 1199, and it offers whistleblower protections to employees and independent contractors who are bringing forth allegations of misclassification so that the employer purposely does not have to provide benefits and other such benefits. And I move that the body pass this bill today. Thank you.
Shall the bill pass?
Forth,
The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 55, nays 44, abstentions 0.
Ayes 55, nays 44, abstentions 0. The bill passes.
Page 20 of the calendar, Senate Bill 916 has gone by for the day. Senate Bill 480, a bill to amend the Code of Virginia by adding in Article 1 of Chapter 3 of Title 40.1, a section numbered 40.1, 28.7:7, relating to covenants not to compete, low-wage employees, civil penalty, reported from Labor and Commerce with substitute.
The delegate from Enrico, Delegate Van Valkenburg.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, move the committee substitute.
Shall the committee substitute be agreed to? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, the committee substitute is agreed to. Delegate Van Valkenburg.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, members of the body, this bill is now in the same posture as House Bill 330, my bill to ban non-competes for low-wage workers. This bill passed out of the House 95-3, and I would ask for its passage again.
Shall the bill pass? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 80, nays 19, abstentions 0.
Ayes 80, nays 19, abstentions 0. The bill passes.
Senate Bill 11 has gone by for the day. Page 21, Senate Bill 44, a bill to amend the Code of Virginia by adding a section number 22.1, 274.5, relating to public elementary and secondary school students, topical sunscreen, reported from Education.
The delegate from Sussex County, Delegate Tyler.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Senate Bill 44 simply permits any public elementary or secondary school student to possess and use topical sunscreen in its original packaging on a school bus, on school property, or at a school-sponsored event without a note or prescription from a licensed healthcare professional, if the topical sunscreen is approved by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration for non-prescription use for purpose of limiting damaging to skin caused by exposure to ultraviolet light. Ask the body to pass the bill.
Shall the bill pass? The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 98, nays 0, abstentions 0.
Ayes 98, nays 0, abstentions 0. The bill passes.
Senate Bill 224, a bill to amend and reenact Sections 58.1, 602, and other sections of the Code of Virginia relating to additional local sales and use tax in Gloucester County, appropriations of Gloucester County to incorporated towns for educational purposes, reported from Finance with amendments.
The delegate from Middlesex, Delegate Hodges.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Move the committee amendments.
Shall the committee amendments be agreed to? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, the committee amendments are agreed to. Delegate Hodges.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. As amended, Senate Bill 224 authorizes Gloucester County to impose an additional local sales and use tax at a rate not to exceed 1% as determined by the governing body if initiated by a resolution of the local governing body and approved by the voters at a referendum. The revenue from the tax shall be used solely for capital projects for new construction or major renovation of schools in the locality enacting the tax. As amended, Senate Bill 224 is in the same posture as House Bill 200, which was patroned by Delegate Wright from Mecklenburg, and House Bill 486, patroned by Delegate Marshall. And both of those passed this body 79-21, and I would hope it would be the pleasure of the body to pass the bill.
Shall the committee amendments be agreed to?
Madam Speaker.
Yes, delegate from Fairfax.
Parliamentary inquiry.
Delegate Sullivan.
Parliamentary inquiry.
Delegate Sullivan.
How many votes are required to pass this bill?
67.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Shall the bill pass? The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 73, nays 25, abstentions 0.
Ayes 73, nays 25, abstentions 0. The bill passes.
Page 22, Senate Bill 271, A bill to amend the Code of Virginia by adding in Article 2 of Chapter 1 of Title 23.1, a section numbered 23.1108, relating to public institutions of higher education, private-public partnerships, wind and solar power. Reported from Education.
The delegate from Sussex County, Delegate Tyler.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. This bill simply requires any energy produced by such solar or wind power generator to be used to provide power for a partner public institution of higher education or introduce to applicable power grids so that a market rate with profits splits or agreed upon by the private entity and the partner public institution of higher education. The bill requires such profits gained by the partner public institution of higher education to be used basically for further research to expand clean energy education programs or lower student tuition rates. I ask the body to pass the bill.
Shall the bill pass? The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 94, nays 6, abstentions 0.
Ayes 94, nays 6, abstentions 0. The bill passes.
Senate Bill 282, a bill to amend and reenact Section 18.2, 270.1 of the Code of Virginia relating to ignition interlock for first offense driving under the influence of drugs. Reported from Courts of Justice.
The delegate from Alexandria, Delegate Herring.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. SB 282 provides that a court of proper jurisdiction may, as a condition of a restricted license, prohibit an offender from operating a motor vehicle that is not equipped with a functioning, certified ignition interlock system for a first offense for driving under the influence of drugs. Under the current law, such prohibition is required to be ordered as a condition of restricted license. I move that the bill be passed.
Shall the bill pass? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 61, nays 38, abstentions 0.
Ayes 61, nays 38, abstention 0. The bill passes.
Senate Bill 283, a bill to amend and reenact Section 1.510 of the Code of Virginia relating to official emblems and designations, state Opry. Reported from Rules.
The delegate from Newport News, Delegate Mullen.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I would just say that SB 283 designates the Virginia Opry in Clifton Forge as the official Opry of Virginia. I would hope it would be the pleasure of this body to pass the bill.
Shall the bill pass? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 93, nays 6, abstentions 0.
Ayes 93, nays 6, abstention 0. The bill passes.
Page 23, Senate Bill 286, a bill to amend and reenact Section 19.2, 303.2 of the Code of Virginia relating to deferred dispositions, property crimes, larceny, and receiving stolen goods. Reported from Courts of Justice with substitute.
The delegate from Newport News, Delegate Mullen.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I would move the committee substitute.
Shall the committee substitute be agreed to? All those in favor, say aye. All those opposed, the committee substitute is agreed to. Delegate Mullen.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, at this time, this bill is now exactly the same as my HB 486, which deals with deferred dispositions in criminal larceny cases, which also passed out of this body on a straight party line vote. I move that it pass.
Shall the bill pass? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 56, nays 44, abstentions 0.
Ayes 56, nays 44, abstentions 0. The bill passes.
Senate Bill 288, a bill to amend the Code of Virginia by adding in Chapter 4 of Title 10.1 a section numbered 10.1-418.10 relating to scenic river designation, Maury River, reported from Agriculture, Chesapeake, and Natural Resources.
Madam Speaker.
Yes.
Senate Bill 288, it's a scenic river designation for the Maury River in Rockbridge County. It's a 19.25-mile section of the river, and to put it in as a component of the Virginia Scenic River System. This is identical to my House Bill 282, which passed 90-9. I move that the bill be passed.
Shall the bill pass? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 86, nays 13, abstentions 0.
Ayes 86, nays 13, abstention 0. The bill passes.
Senate Bill 307, a bill to amend and reenact Section 16.1-284 of the Code of Virginia relating to adults sentenced for juvenile offenses, good conduct credit, reported from courts of justice.
The delegate from Frederick, Delegate Collins.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, Senate Bill 307 is identical to my bill, HB 61, which passed this House 94-4. This cures a discrepancy in the code when it comes to calculating jail time when applied to juveniles as sentenced as adults. I would ask that we pass the bill.
Shall the bill pass? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 96, nays 3, abstentions 0.
Ayes 96, nays 3, abstention 0. The bill passes.
Page 24, Senate Bill 313, a bill to amend and reenact Section 23.1-3112 of the Code of Virginia relating to New College Institute, Board of Directors, non-legislative citizen members, representatives of business and industry from the Commonwealth, reported from Education.
The delegate from Sussex County, Delegate Tyler.
Madam Speaker, can this bill pass by temporarily?
All those in favor of SB 313 by temporarily shall say aye. Aye. Those opposed, the bill goes by temporarily.
Senate Bill 325, a bill to amend the Code of Virginia by adding a section numbered 19.2-262.01 relating to voir dire examination of persons called as jurors, criminal case, reported from courts of justice.
The delegate from Norfolk, Delegate Lindsay.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, SB 325 is virtually indistinguishable from HB 100 that passed this House recently. This deals with the ideal of actually putting the criminal voir dire, and that's the inquiry of prospective jurors, in the same light as that what we do for civil jurors. I'd ask that the bill be passed.
Shall the bill pass? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 64, nays 36, abstentions 0.
Ayes 64, nays 36, abstention 0. The bill passes.
Senate Bill 377, a bill to amend and reenact Sections 22.1311 and 22.1313 of the Code of Virginia relating to teacher grievance procedures, hearing, 3-member fact-finding panel, reported from Education.
The delegate from Sussex County, Delegate Tyler.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Senate Bill 377 permits the school board to conduct a teacher's grievance hearing before a 3-member fact-finding panel consisting of 1 member selected by the teacher, 1 member selected by the division superintendent, and an impartial hearing officer selected by the other 2 panel members to serve as chairman of the panel. I ask the body to pass the bill.
Shall the bill pass? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 56, nays 44, abstentions 0.
Ayes 56, nays 44, abstention 0. The bill passes.
Page 25, Senate Bill 378, A bill to amend and reenact Section 18.2, 152.4 of the Code of Virginia relating to computer trespass penalty, reported from courts of justice.
The delegate from Alexandria, Delegate Herring.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. SB 378 expands the crime of computer trespass to provide that the prohibited actions that constitute trespass are criminalized if done through an intentionally deceptive means and without authority, and it specifies that a computer hardware or software provider, an interactive computer service, or telecommunications or cable operator does not have to provide notice of its activities to a computer user that a reasonable computer user should expect may occur. I move that the bill be passed.
Shall the bill pass? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 90, nays 9, abstentions 0.
Ayes 90, nays 9, abstentions 0. The bill passes.
Senate Bill 429, a bill to amend and reenact Sections 16.1, 278.16, and other sections of the Code of Virginia relating to withholding of income for child support, independent contractors, reported from courts of justice.
The delegate from Alexandria, Delegate Herring.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. SB 429 clarifies that income earned by an independent contractor may be withheld by a court order for payment of child support obligations. I move that the bill be passed.
Shall the bill pass? The clerk will close the roll.
62, nays 36, abstentions 0.
Ayes 62, nays 36, abstentions 0. The bill passes.
Senate Bill 435, a bill to prohibit licensing of duck blinds in certain areas, reported from Agriculture, Chesapeake, and Natural Resources.
The delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Krizik.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. This SB 435 prohibits the licensing of duck blinds on three creeks in Mount Vernon where hunting is prohibited. And this passed 60 to 36, and it's identical to my bill, HB 173. I asked the body to pass the bill.
Shall the bill pass? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 56, nays 41, abstentions 1.
Ayes 56, nays 41, abstentions 1. The bill passes.
Madam Speaker?
Yes, delegate from Prince William.
Page 26, Senate Bill 478. Amend and reenact Sections 10.1, 408, and 10.1, 410.2 of the Code of Virginia relating to Clinch State Scenic River, reported from Agriculture, Chesapeake, and Natural Resources.
The delegate from Tazewell, Delegate Moorfield.
Madam Speaker, members of the House, Senate Bill 478 is identical to House Bill 5, which passed the House. It designates a section of the Clinch River as a scenic river. I move to pass the bill.
Shall the bill pass? The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 83, nays 16, abstentions 0.
Ayes 83, nays 16, abstentions 0. The bill passes.
Senate Bill 546 has gone by for the day. Senate Bill 588, a bill to amend and reenact Sections 58.1, 3818, and other sections of the Code of Virginia relating to local taxing authority, reported from Finance with substitute.
The delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Watts.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move the committee substitute.
Shall the committee substitute be agreed to? All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, the committee substitute is agreed to. Delegate Watts.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The committee substitute makes SB 588 identical to my bill, House Bill 785, which passed this House by a vote of 60 to 38 with one abstention. It deals with the issue of equal taxing authority for counties, and I hope it'll be the will of the body to pass the bill. Thank you.
Shall the bill pass? The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 58, nays 40, abstentions 1.
Ayes 58, nays 40, abstentions 1. The bill passes.
Page 27, Senate Bill 590, a bill to amend and reenact sections 58.1, 439.7, and other sections of the Code of Virginia relating to advanced recycling, incentives in income tax, sales tax, and machinery and tools tax. Reported from Finance.
The delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Watts.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Senate Bill 590 adds to the definition of production of materials using recycled materials to accommodate a new technology which deals with the breaking down of recycled materials into their individual raw components. Therefore, there was the need to define elements of production as well as machinery, both for machinery and equipment taxes as well as for exemption from sales and use tax. I hope it'll be the pleasure of the body to pass the bill.
Shall the bill pass? The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 87, nays 12, abstentions 0.
Ayes 87, nays 12, abstentions 0. The bill passes.
Senate Bill 595, a bill to amend and reenact Section 22.1, 280.2:2 of the Code of Virginia relating to the Public School Security Equipment Grant Act of 2013, eligible security equipment, vaping detectors. Reported from Education.
The delegate from Sussex County, Delegate Tyler.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Senate Bill 595 simply just clarifies vaping detectors as eligible security equipment under the Public School Security Equipment Grant Act of 2013. I ask the body to pass the bill.
Shall the bill pass? The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 52, nays 47, abstentions 0.
Ayes 52, nays 47, abstentions 0. The bill passes.
Senate Bill 601, a bill to amend and reenact Section 2.2, 3300 of the Code of Virginia relating to legal holidays, Lee Jackson Day, Election Day. Reported from Rules.
The delegate from Norfolk, Delegate Lindsay.
Madam Speaker, SB 606 is the equivalent of the bill that we passed out of the House. Don't ask me the number, but I was the patron. But that was the bill that replaced, it made Election Day a legal holiday and replaced it, and got rid of Lee Jackson Day. I ask that the bill be passed.
Shall the bill pass? The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 55, nays 44, abstentions 0.
Ayes 55, nays 44, abstentions 0. The bill passes.
Page 28, Senate Bill 612, a bill to establish the Commission for Historical Statues in the United States Capitol to provide for the replacement of the Robert E. Lee statue in the National Statuary Hall collection at the U.S. Capitol, to recommend to the General Assembly as a replacement a statue of a prominent Virginia citizen of historic renown or renowned for distinguished civil or military service to be commemorated in the National Statuary Hall collection, and to provide for the selection of a sculptor for the new statue, and to provide for submission of the Commonwealth's request to the Joint Committee of Congress on the Library for approval to replace the Robert E. Lee statue in the National Statuary Hall collection at the U.S. Capitol. Reported from Rules with substitute.
The delegate from Newport News, Delegate Mullen.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I'd move the committee substitute.
Shall the committee substitute be agreed to? All those in favor, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, the committee substitute is agreed to. Delegate Mullen. Shall the bill pass? The clerk shall close the roll.
55, nays 44, abstentions 0.
Ayes 55, nays 44, abstention 0. The bill passes.
Senate Bill 616, a bill to amend and reenact Sections 2.2106 and many other sections of the Code of Virginia, and to amend the Code of Virginia by adding a section number 29.1, 100.1 relating to the Department of Game and Inland Fisheries, name change, reported from Agriculture, Chesapeake, and Natural Resources.
The delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Plum.
Senate Bill 616 changes the name of the Department of Game and Inland Fisheries to the Department of Game Resources, and changes the name of the board likewise to be the Board of Wildlife Resources. Madam Speaker and members of the House, this change is in keeping with what's practiced in about half the states already and in the surrounding states. It's more better describes what the department does in terms of programs and services it provides, and is in keeping with, again, like I say, what's the national trend. Hopefully it'll be a pleasure to the House to agree to the Senate Bill 616.
Shall the bill pass? The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 60, nays 40, abstentions 0.
Ayes 60, nays 40, abstention 0. The bill passes.
Page 29, Senate Bill 673, a bill to amend and reenact Section 62.1, 255, and other sections of the Code of Virginia relating to non-agricultural irrigation wells prohibited outside surficial aquifer, reported from Agriculture, Chesapeake, and Natural Resources.
The delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Plum.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Senate Bill 673 prohibits any person from constructing a well in a groundwater management area for non-agricultural irrigation purposes except in the surficial aquifer. Madam Speaker and members of the House, this is an effort in Eastern Virginia to maintain our limited water supply. Hope it will be a pleasure to the House to pass the bill.
Shall the bill pass? The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 55, nays 45, abstentions 0.
Ayes 55, nays 45, abstention 0. The bill passes.
Senate Bill 674, a bill to amend the Code of Virginia by adding in Chapter 11 of Title 10.1, an article numbered 14 consisting of sections numbered 10.1, 1181.13, and other sections relating to voluntary forest mitigation agreements, reported from Agriculture, Chesapeake, and Natural Resources.
The delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Plum.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Senate Bill 674 is an attempt to gain a voluntary method of forest mitigation. It allows the Secretary of Natural Resources, Secretary of Agriculture and Forestry, and the Virginia Outdoor Foundation to enter into an agreement with minimum provisions to allow owners and operators of construction projects to accomplish forest mitigation within a voluntary arrangement. Hopefully it will be the pleasure of the House to pass the bill.
Shall the bill pass? The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 63, nays 37, abstentions 0.
Ayes 63, nays 37, abstention 0. The bill passes.
Senate Bill 704, a bill to amend the Code of Virginia by adding in Title 62.1 a chapter numbered 3.8 containing articles numbered 1, 2, and 3, and other sections relating to Chesapeake Bay Watershed Implementation Plan Initiatives, civil penalty, reported from Agriculture, Chesapeake, and Natural Resources with substitute.
The delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Plum.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move the substitute.
Shall the committee substitute be agreed to? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, the committee substitute is agreed to. Delegate Plum.
Madam Speaker and members of the House, this substitute worked out with the stakeholders involved. Now is a replica of my House Bill 1422 that we passed earlier in this session. It allows the department to go forward with a development management plan as well as stream fencing to meet the next level of goals of the Chesapeake Bay Preservation Program. Hope it to be the pleasure of the House to agree to the bill.
Shall the bill pass? The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 78, nays 21, abstentions 0.
Ayes 78, nays 21, abstention 0. The bill passes.
Page 30, Senate Bill 747, a bill to amend the Code of Virginia by adding a section numbered 62.144.19:21.2 relating to nutrient and sediment credit generation and transfer, reported from Agriculture, Chesapeake, and Natural Resources with substitute.
The delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Bulova.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Move the committee substitute.
Shall the committee substitute be agreed to? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, the committee substitute is agreed to. Delegate Bulova.
Thank you. Madam Speaker and ladies and gentlemen of the House, one of the reasons that Virginia has been able to make such significant progress towards our Chesapeake Bay restoration requirements is that we have a very robust stormwater nutrient management trading program. And that program's become successful is because it incentivizes private investments in pollutant reductions. What Senate Bill 747 does is clarify that while local governments may develop credits for their own use, they can't go into direct competition with the private sector. This is very similar to language you already have in the code for wetlands and stream mitigation banks. The bill also provides an option for wastewater treatment facilities to use a limited amount of their nutrient reductions to meet stormwater management requirements on their own property. I move that we pass the bill.
Shall the bill pass? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 93, nays 7, abstentions 0.
Ayes 93, nays 7, abstention 0. The bill passes.
Senate Bill 783, a bill to amend the Code of Virginia by adding a section numbered 10.1-1186.6 relating to Department of Environmental Quality, carbon market participation, reported from Agriculture, Chesapeake, and Natural Resources.
The delegate from Arlington, Delegate Lopez.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. At the request of the patron, could this bill go by for the day?
All those in favor of SB 783 go by for the day shall say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, 783 will go by for the day.
Senate Bill 788, a bill to amend and reenact sections 18.2, 23, and other sections of the Code of Virginia relating to grand larceny and certain property crimes, threshold, reported from courts of justice.
The delegate from Norfolk, Delegate Lindsay.
Madam Speaker, SB 788 is the parallel to HB 995 that passed through the House by a vote of 58 to 40. This is a bill about the raising of the larceny threshold. I'd ask that the bill be passed.
Shall the bill pass? The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 58, nays 40, abstentions 0.
Ayes 58, nays 40, abstention 0. The bill passes.
Page 31, Senate Bill 791, a bill to amend and reenact sections 2.2, 4002, and other sections of the Code of Virginia relating to management of the Menhaden fishery, reported from Agriculture, Chesapeake, and Natural Resources with substitute.
The delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Plum.
Madam Speaker, I move the adoption of the substitute.
Shall the committee substitute be agreed to? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, the committee substitute is agreed to. Delegate Plum.
Madam Speaker, members of the House, I think in the years I've been here, every year or at least every other year, we have had a bill related to the management of the Menhaden fishery. it could be that this may be the last bill for many years. Because what we're going to do is to get out of the business of trying to manage the fishery ourselves as a legislative body and instead turn it over to the Virginia Marine Resources Commission, where the scientists and the experts exist to be able to carry that function out. I hope it, and this is it's the same as my bill 1448 that we passed earlier. Hope it be the pleasure of the House to pass this bill.
Shall the bill pass? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 79, nays 21, abstentions 0.
Ayes 79, nays 21, abstentions 0. The bill passes.
Senate Bill 795, a bill to amend and reenact Sections 28.2, 1208, and 67-300 of the Code of Virginia relating to offshore oil and gas drilling policy, reported from Agriculture, Chesapeake, and Natural Resources, with substitute.
The delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Keem.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move the committee substitute, please.
Shall the committee substitute be agreed to? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
For those opposed, the committee substitute is agreed to.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. With this substitute, there's no more daylight between this version and my House Bill 706, which would ban the future of offshore oil and gas drilling off the waters of the Commonwealth. I hope it'll be the pleasure of the House to move this, pass this bill.
Shall the bill pass? The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 61, nays 39, abstentions 0.
Ayes 61, nays 39, abstention 0. The bill passes.
Senate Bill 832, a bill to amend and reenact Section 22.1, 296.3 of the Code of Virginia relating to private schools, sexual misconduct, employment assistance prohibited, reported from Education.
The delegate from Sussex County, Delegate Tyler.
Madam Speaker, may I request that this bill pass by for today?
All those in favor of SB 832 going by for the day shall say aye. Those opposed, the bill goes by for the day.
Page 32, Senate Bill 849, a bill to amend and reenact Sections 3.2, 3602, and 3.2, 3602.1 of the Code of Virginia relating to lawn fertilizer contractor applicators, reported from Agriculture, Chesapeake, and Natural Resources.
The delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Plum.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Senate Bill 849 authorizes the Commissioner of Agriculture and Consumer Services to enter into an agreement with a locality to provide oversight and data collection assistance related to the requirements of certified lawn fertilizer contractor applicators. Hope it to be the pleasure of the House to pass the bill.
Shall the bill pass? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 63, nays 36, abstentions 0.
Ayes 63, nays 36, abstention 0. The bill passes.
Senate Bill 882, a bill to amend and reenact Section 29.1, 200 of the Code of Virginia relating to conservation police officers, external appointment, reported from Agriculture, Chesapeake, and Natural Resources.
The delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Plum.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Senate Bill 882 removes a provision existing in law now that prohibits the Department of Game and Inland Fisheries from making an external appointment for any sworn law enforcement officer above the rank of conservation of police officers. This change will allow the flexibility within the department to gain more diversity in its workforce as well as more expertise. Hope to be the pleasure of the House to pass the bill.
Shall the bill pass? The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 63, nays 36, abstentions 0.
Ayes 63, nays 36, abstention 0. The bill passes.
Senate Bill 923, a bill to amend and reenact Section 58.1, 439.12:03 of the Code of Virginia relating to motion picture production tax credit, reported from Finance with substitute.
The delegate from Petersburg, Delegate Aird.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move the committee substitute.
Shall the committee substitute be agreed to? All those in favor, say aye. All those opposed? The committee substitute is agreed to. Delegate Aird.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, Senate Bill 923 mirrors my House Bill 1318, which spoke to extending the motion picture and sales tax credit. The substitute now conforms the Senate version to my bill, which would extend it to 2027 instead of its original version, 2025. I hope we'll move the bill forward.
The delegate from Richmond City, Delegate Bourne.
Madam Speaker, would the delegate yield for a question?
Will the delegate yield?
I yield.
Delegate
My
yield.
question
Delegate Bourne.
is simple, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I would ask the delegate, would she consider this the sequel to her bill?
I would, Madam Speaker. Delegate Bourne.
Shall the bill pass? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 72, nays 27, abstentions 0.
Ayes 72, nays 27, abstentions 0. The bill passes.
Senate Bill 931, a bill to amend and reenact Section 58.1, 322.02 of the Code of Virginia relating to income tax subtraction, Crime Stopper rewards, reported from Finance with amendments.
The delegate from Colonial Heights, Delegate Cox.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move the Finance Committee amendments.
Shall the committee amendments be agreed to? All those in favor, say aye. All those opposed? The committee amendments are agreed to. Delegate Cox.
Madam Speaker, SB 931 will raise the non-taxable amount from Crime Solvers award money from $1,000 to $5,000. That has not been raised since 1988. It is voluntary. It makes it the same as my HB 307, which passed 98 to 2. Hope it's the pleasure of the House to pass the bill.
Shall the bill pass? The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 96, nays 3, abstentions 0.
Ayes 96, nays 3, abstentions 0. The bill passes.
Senate Bill 935, a bill to amend and reenact Section 23.1506 of the Code of Virginia relating to public institutions of higher education, eligibility for in-state tuition, reported from Education and reported from Appropriations.
The delegate from Arlington, Delegate Lopez.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Speaking to the bill.
Delegate Lopez.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. SB 935 is the same as my bill, HB 1547, which passed a couple weeks ago. Except after significant negotiations, it requires the student to also submit evidence that he or she has filed Virginia income tax revenue returns for at least 2 years prior to their enrollment at a university or college. This bill helps hundreds of young Virginians caught in a difficult situation out of their making. Madam Speaker, I ask that the body pass the bill.
Shall the bill pass? The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 56, nays 44, abstentions 0.
Ayes 56, nays 44, abstention 0. The bill passes.
Page 34, Senate Bill 943, a bill to amend and reenact Sections 58.1602 and other sections of the Code of Virginia relating to additional local sales and use tax in Mecklenburg County, appropriations of Mecklenburg County to incorporated towns for educational purposes, reported from Finance with substitute.
The delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Simon.
Madam Speaker, parliamentary inquiry.
Delegate Simon, you have the
Madam
floor.
Speaker, what's the is this a special legislation that requires a 2/3 vote?
67
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
votes. Yes. Delegate Wright, you have the floor.
Madam Speaker, I move the substitute.
Shall the committee substitute be agreed to? All those in favor, say aye. All those opposed, the committee substitute is agreed to. Delegate Wright.
Senate Bill 943 now conforms to House Bill 200, which I introduced. If I wish that the body would pass the bill.
Shall the bill pass? The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 70, nays 23, abstentions 0.
Ayes 76, nays 23, abstention 0. The bill passes.
Senate Bill 987, a bill to amend and reenact Sections 29.1, 340, and other sections of the Code of Virginia relating to hunting waterfowl, duck blinds, reported from Agriculture, Chesapeake, and Natural Resources.
The delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Plum.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Senate Bill 987 prohibits the hunting or shooting of migratory waterfowl in the public waters of the Commonwealth from a boat, float, raft, or other buoyant craft or device within 150 yards of a residence without the consent of the landowner. Hope it be the pleasure of the House to pass the bill.
Shall the bill pass? The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 56, nays 44, abstentions 0.
Ayes 56, nays 44, abstention 0. The bill passes.
Senate Bill 1004, a bill to amend the Code of Virginia by adding a section numbered 10.1, 1188.1, and other sections of the Code of Virginia relating to Wildlife Corridor Action Plan, reported from Agriculture, Chesapeake, and Natural Resources.
The delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Bulova.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, this Senate bill is identical to my House Bill 1695. The bill directs the Department of Game and Inland Fisheries to work with stakeholders to establish a Wildlife Corridor Action Plan. The purpose is twofold. First is to identify and prioritize wildlife automobile conflict areas, and the second is to ensure that VDOT considers these options when building new infrastructure, expanding existing infrastructure. I would like to thank my two chief co-patrons, Chairman Plum and Delegate Keem, and would move that we pass the bill.
Shall the bill pass? The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 90, nays 10, abstentions 0.
Ayes 90, nays 10, abstention 0. The bill passes.
Page 35, Senate Bill 1018, a bill to amend and reenact Section 19.2, 303.01 of the Code of Virginia relating to reduction of sentence, substantial assistance to prosecution, reported from Courts of Justice.
The delegate from Newport News, Delegate Mullen.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, SB 1018 expands the types of crimes that you can offer substantial assistance to the prosecution for to include gang-related felonies and gang-related gun felonies. I hope it would be the pleasure of the body to pass the bill.
Will the clerk please report the floor amendment?
Floor amendment to Senate Bill 1018, offered by Delegate Scott. Line 16, engrossed after violation of section, strike 18.2, 46.2, 18.2, 46.3, insert section.
Delegate Scott.
Madam Speaker, speaking to the amendment.
Delegate Scott, you have the floor.
Madam Speaker, I spoke to the patron of the Senator Stanley. He considered this a friendly amendment that he was amenable to after we met and discussed the matter. What it does is it takes out 18.2-46.2 and 46.3. It still gives substantial assistance credit for folks who assist with turning in firearms, but it removes the substantial assistance for folks who just identify gang members or potential gang members. So for that reason, he thought this was a friendly amendment and he accepted it, and I'd ask that the body accept the floor amendment.
Madam Speaker.
The delegate from Shenandoah, Delegate Gilbert.
Would the delegate yield for a question?
Will the delegate yield?
Madam Speaker, I will.
Delegate yields. Delegate
Madam Speaker,
Gilbert.
would the delegate explain to those who are not well versed in 18.2 what 18.2, 46.2, and 46.3 involve?
From my Madam Speaker,
Delegate
I would
Scott.
respond to the delegate. 1846.2 identifies folks who are, it's a crime for folks to commit a predicate crime involving a gang, and it identifies folks who recruit gang members. So there are different levels. There are misdemeanors and felonies for those two levels with 46.2 and 46.3. 46.3 focuses on the recruitment. 46.2 focuses on predicate crimes, and there are different levels within those two.
Delegate from Shenandoah, Delegate Gilbert.
I thank the gentleman, Madam Speaker.
Okay. Shall the amendment be adopted? Shall the amendment be adopted? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? The amendment is adopted. Shall the bill pass? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 87, nays 11, abstentions 0.
7, nays 11, abstention 0. The bill passes.
Senate Bill 1038, a bill to amend and reenact Sections 33.2, 2605, and other sections of the Code of Virginia relating to transit funding in the Hampton Roads region, reported from Transportation and reported from Finance with substitute.
The delegate from Virginia Beach, Delegate Askew.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move the committee substitute.
Shall the committee substitute be agreed to? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed? The committee substitute is agreed to. Delegate Askew.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. With the substitute, SB 1038, since it becomes my bill, HB 1726, that passed the body earlier this session, it essentially creates Hampton Roads Transit Planning Organization. Also, it establishes a Hampton Roads Transit Fund, which will be managed by the Hampton Roads Transit Accountability Commission. Lastly, the regional transportation revenue sources, including grantors and TOT taxes or fees, are added to this. With the amendment, it also retains the reenactment clause of 2021. I hope this bill be passed.
Shall the bill pass? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 55, nays 44, abstentions 0.
Ayes 55, nays 44, abstention 0. The bill passes.
Senate Bill 1090, a bill to amend the Code of Virginia by adding a section numbered 10.1, 411.5 relating to scenic rivers, Grays Creek in Surrey County, reported from Agriculture, Chesapeake, and Natural Resources.
Yes. Delegate Brewer.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Senate Bill 1090 is identical to my House Bill 1612, which passed this House with a 90-8 vote, which would grant the state scenic river designation to Grays Creek in Surrey County. Hope the will of the body to pass the bill.
Shall the bill pass? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 86, nays 11, abstentions 0.
Ayes 86, nays 11, abstention 0. The bill passes.
Page 36, Senate Bill 407, a bill to amend the Code of Virginia by adding in Chapter 25 of Title 2.2 an article numbered 11 consisting of sections numbered 2.2 2544 through 2.2 2549 relating to the Virginia Revolutionary 250 Commission report, reported from Rules with amendments, and there is a floor substitute.
The delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Krizek.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'd like to move to reject the committee amendments.
Shall the committee amendments be agreed to? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed?
No.
The committee amendments are rejected. Delegate Krizek.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I have an amendment in the nature of a substitute to SB 407, which is the companion bill to my bill, HB 1424, which passed this body unanimously. These bills establish the Virginia Revolutionary 250 or Semi-Quincentennial Commission. And this amendment reflects a compromise reached by the Jamestown-Yorktown Foundation, the American Battlefield Trust, and includes changes to the makeup of the commission membership, including the number of House members that they should be increased from 2 to 4. And I could go through. There's 6 significant changes. The first is that the name would be, rather than the Virginia Revolutionary 250 Commission, it will be the American Revolutionary 250 Commission. The second is that, as I mentioned, we'll increase the House members from 2 to 4. I know we have some the delegate from Hanover and the delegate from Williamsburg are interested in being on this, so we need to make it a little bigger. And the third one would be that there would be a representative from the American Battlefield Trust and one representative from the Virginia Bar Association would be added. And the fourth one Okay, there's only a few more changes here, but okay. I hope it's I hope we I move that we pass the bill.
Will the clerk please report the floor amendment?
Floor amendment in the nature of a substitute to Senate Bill 407, proposed by Delegate Kriesik, is available online and is on some of your desks.
All those in favor, shall the floor amendments be agreed to? All those in favor, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, the floor amendments are agreed to. Shall the bill pass? The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 100, nays 0, abstentions 0.
Ayes 100, nays 0, abstentions 0. The bill passes.
Senate Bill, returning to page 1 of the calendar, Senate Bill 794 has gone by for the day. Returning to page 8 of the calendar, Senate Bill 587 was moved to the regular calendar. Senate Bill 587, a bill to amend and reenact sections 3309 through 3312 of the Code of Virginia relating to the MEI Project Approval Commission, reported from rules with amendments.
The delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Sickles.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move the Rules Committee amendments.
Shall the committee amendments be agreed to? All those in favor, say aye. All those opposed, the committee amendments are agreed to. Delegate Sickles.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Those amendments made sure all the right kinds of people were on the MEI Commission. And what this bill does from Senator Hanger is includes film and episodic television projects into the mission of the MEI Commission to approve or not approve. So I would move passage of the bill.
Shall the bill pass? The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 94, nays 6, abstentions 0.
Ayes 94, nays 6, abstention 0. The bill passes.
Returning to page 10 of the calendar, Senate Bill 607 has gone by for the day. Returning to page 14 of the calendar, Senate Bill 772 was moved to the regular calendar. A bill to amend and reenact Section 29.1-540 of the Code of Virginia relating to transportation of bait fish for sale. Penalty, reported from Agriculture Chesapeake and Natural Resources with amendment. The amendment was agreed to.
Delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Plum.
Madam Speaker, I explained the bill earlier. It's to stop the stealing of our bait fish on the southern inland waterways of Virginia. So I hope it'll be the pleasure of the House to agree to the bill.
Shall the bill pass? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 96, nays 4, abstentions 0.
Ayes 96, nays 4, abstention 0. The bill passes.
Returning to page 15 of the calendar, Senate Bill 818 was moved to the regular calendar. A bill to amend the Code of Virginia by adding a section numbered 18.2, 254.3 relating to the Behavioral Health Docket Act, reported from Courts of Justice with substitute, and there is a floor substitute.
The delegate from Roanoke City, Delegate Rasool.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, ladies and gentlemen of the House. First, I'll quickly explain the differences, and then what I'm going to ask you to do is to reject the committee substitute and accept the floor substitute. The patron is aware we're trying to improve upon the Behavioral Health Docket Act by making a few improvements as stakeholders have continued to work on this. As we know, a number of localities have had these behavioral health dockets, and we're trying to formalize this, but we want to make sure that the legislation actually doesn't get in the way of their progress. So a few changes that we made were inserting another stakeholder into the advisory committee, inserting that they can also include a peer recovery specialist, ensuring that the committee will try to use an already established and valid screening instrument, and then giving them the latitude to be able to not charge the offender to be able to participate in the program. So, Madam Speaker, I would hope that we would reject the committee substitute.
The delegate from Albemarle,
Madam
Delegate
Speaker,
Bell.
I ask the gentleman to yield for a question.
Will the delegate yield?
Yeah, I'd yield.
Okay.
The delegate yields.
Has the gentleman identified all of the changes from the committee substitute, or you said there are some of the changes? Are there any others that you have not told us about aside from the ones you just identified?
Delegate Rasool.
Madam Speaker, I would respond to the gentleman. Those are the 4 changes that were made from committee to the floor.
Delegate Bell.
Okay. Madam Speaker, I would ask if the gentleman would yield for another
Will the
question.
delegate yield?
Yes, I will yield.
Delegate yields.
I ask
Delegate
the
Bell.
gentleman. So this issue came up in the Deeds Commission, and one of the goals was to make sure, as the gentleman identified, that we weren't somehow candidly getting in the way of the courts that had already made some progress. So that was, I think, an agreed-upon goal. Could he tell us who has, a lot of stakeholders in this, who has reviewed the new words to say that they're different or better? They came from somebody. Could he tell us perhaps where they came from?
Delegate Rasool.
Madam Speaker, I would respond to the gentleman that this is a variety of folks brought these additional changes. So what I will walk through is the first change came actually from, which is on line 46 and 47. That was the advocacy organization that would like to actually be part of the Health Docket Advisory Committee as the state moves forward. The second change also came from those stakeholders who want to ensure that the localities could include, if they wanted to, in their local advisory committees, a registered peer recovery specialist. The third change on line 71 came from a judge who's very involved in this. The concern that she had raised was that she didn't want to force the committee to come up with its own tool, but that there are actually tools that are available now, and to be able to ensure the use of a tool. Rather, the wording was a little bit awkward, so this is more of a clarifying amendment. And then the fourth amendment also came from that judge and some others who were concerned about the initial wording, which would force the offender to pay to be in these programs. What this does, Madam Speaker, is it allows the locality to determine whether or not it wants to charge the offender for participating in these behavioral health dockets.
Madam Speaker, would the gentleman yield for one last question?
Will the delegate yield?
I will yield.
Delegate yields. Delegate Bell.
I realize the irony in me asking you if you have cleared this with the patron, but is the patron, has he endorsed this? Is he okay with it? You said you ran it past him, but what if you could maybe share with us his thoughts on this?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I would tell the gentleman that the patron has said, I trust you, just make sure it passes.
I thank the gentleman.
Thank you.
Shall the committee substitute be agreed to? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Actually, Delegate Rasool.
I would hope that you would reject the committee substitute.
Shall the committee substitute be agreed to? All those in favor? All those opposed?
No.
The committee substitute fails. Delegate Rasool.
Madam Clerk, Madam Chair, I would hope that, Madam Speaker, I hope that I would ask the clerk to report a substitute.
Will the clerk please report the floor substitute?
Substitute Senate Bill 818, floor amendment in the nature of a substitute proposed by Delegate Rasool, is available online and at some of your desks.
The delegate from Caroline, Delegate Orrock. Oh, okay. Delegate Rasool.
Madam Speaker, I would ask that we adopt the floor substitute.
Shall the floor substitute be adopted? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the floor substitute is adopted. Delegate Rasool.
Madam Speaker, now here before us is the Behavioral Health Docket Act. We have gone through and explained pieces of it just now. It offers for the specialized dockets to take place. It has a state behavioral health docket advisory committee, and it puts this all under the Executive Secretary of the Supreme Court. I would hope it be the pleasure of the body to pass Senate Bill 818.
Madam Speaker, there is a floor amendment.
Will the clerk please report the floor amendment?
Floor amendment to Senate Bill 818, offered by Delegate Auroch. Page 1 of the substitute, line 12, strike line 11.
Madam Speaker.
I'm sorry, strike line 12.
That's line 11.
The delegate from Caroline, Delegate Auroch.
Madam Speaker, to the patron, I apologize, or to the floor manager, I apologize not bringing this up earlier. I mean no violence to the measure. It's just we generally don't name bills in the code. And particularly as you look at the substitute language in my printed version here, it's on line 10. It says it's the Behavioral Health Docket Act. And all my floor amendment does is strike line 11 that says this section shall be known and cited as the Behavioral Health Docket Act. I believe enrolling would take care of any additional, where the A, B, C, D, those kind of things. So it doesn't change any of the underlying bill. It just takes out, we don't name bills in the bill, especially when it's in the title.
Delegate from Newport News, Delegate Mullen.
Madam Speaker, may this bill go by temporarily while we just sort of all catch up with what's happened on LIS?
All those in favor of SB 818 going by temporarily shall say aye. Those opposed? 818 goes by temporarily.
Returning to page 17 of the calendar, Senate Bill 967 has gone by for the day. Page 17, returning to page 17 of the calendar, Senate Bill 1020, which was moved to the regular calendar. A bill to amend the Code of Virginia by adding a section number 22.1-279.3:3 relating to public schools, alternative accountability process, assault and battery without bodily injury. Reported from Education.
The delegate from Alexandria, Delegate Herring.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. May that bill go by for the day.
All those in favor of SB 1020 going by for the day shall say aye. Those opposed? Bill goes by for the day.
Returning to page 19 of the calendar, Senate Bill 868 that went by temporarily. It has been explained, and there is a floor amendment.
Delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Simon.
Madam Speaker, I have a motion.
Delegate Simon. You have the floor.
I'm going to wait till, I want to make sure that Delegate LaRock gets his full 2 minutes. Just before I make the motion, I want to make sure he's back in his seat. Madam Speaker, I move that we pass by the floor amendment.
Will the clerk please report the floor amendment?
Floor amendment to Senate Bill 868 offered by Delegate LaRock. After line 305 in the substitute, insert F. Under this section, a religious organization may require that all employees or applicants for employment conform to the religious tenets of such organization.
Madam Speaker.
Delegate Simon.
I'm sorry. I move that we pass by the amendment the clerk just reported.
Delegate from Loudoun, Delegate LaRock.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I was kind of on the move there. I'm not sure if we read the amendment, but it's very simple. A bill like this is new to Virginia, many stakeholders involved, and I'm glad that some of the provisions of the substitute address concerns that were raised of more financial in nature, but there are some fairly large organizations representing many churches, religious organizations, schools, and so on, who are very concerned that this will change the way they operate in Virginia. Now, I've talked with the patrons of both the House and Senate bills. I don't think we've come to any real disagreement, except as to whether or not this might be absolutely necessary to provide those religious organizations with the assurance that they will be able to continue to employ people. And I'll read the amendment again. Just under this section, a religious organization may require that all employees or applicants for employment conform to the religious tenets of the organization. That seems to be a fairly simple ask. And since I am cut down to 2 minutes. I'll just go right to mention that several other states have made those provisions in their state codes. For example, California, an employer does not include a religious association or corporation not organized for profit. Colorado, for purposes of this section, employer shall not include any religious organization or association. Very similar in Connecticut and Delaware and DC, and I have about 15 pages of similar related exemptions to specify, make it clarify that these stakeholders who are concerned that they'll be affected by the bill as it's worded without this amendment, that the way they do business and provide services in Virginia will change dramatically. So I think that sums it up. I was hoping that perhaps the gentleman from Fairfax would view this as a friendly amendment, keep a lot of people and organizations
the time's up. Are you almost
in their
finished?
seat, and I hope that the gentleman from Fairfax will consider it a friendly amendment. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Simon.
Madam Speaker, speaking to the amendment, I know I've got
Delegate Simon.
just 2 minutes, but I want to be clear. We have a religious exemption in this bill, which is item E. So this is F. Right before this, on line 298, we have item E that says the provisions of this section shall not apply to employment of individuals of a particular religion by a religious corporation. So they can restrict employment to members of their religion. That's not what this one says. This one says that employees or applicants will conform to the religious tenets of the organization. All right? So this isn't about who you are. This isn't about what your religion is. This is about what you do in your private life. And this gets very much to gutting the entire purpose of this bill. This says you don't have to be Christian. You just can't do some non-Christian things. I can't imagine what they have in mind. For instance, I can't go to work. I can work at this synagogue, even if I'm not Jewish. I just can't eat shellfish. Maybe that's not what they're really getting at. Or I just can't drive on Saturdays. But again, I don't think that's what they're really getting at. So we have a religious exemption. We have a strong religious exemption in 298, 299, 300. This goes further than that, and it goes to who you are in your private life, and it's really intended to gut the bill. I hope that we will pass by the amendment.
Delegate from Powhatan, Delegate Ware.
Madam Speaker, I couldn't quite keep up with the gentleman's speech speed, and could he tell us where that line is that he referred to on discrimination?
Will Delegate Simon yield?
Madam Speaker, I will yield for a question, although again, I'm not sure it's appropriate, but I think the answer to the gentleman's question is line 298 of the substitute, item lettered E, contains a exemption for members of a religion. What's been added to that goes much beyond that and is intended to gut the bill.
I thank the gentleman.
Thank you. Delegate Simon.
And I hope that we will vote yes on the motion to pass by the amendment.
All those in favor of Delegate Simon's motion to pass by the floor amendment shall say aye. Aye. Those opposed? No. All those in favor of Delegate Simon's motion to pass by Delegate LaRocque's floor amendment shall vote aye on the electronic voting board. Those that oppose will vote no on the electronic voting board. The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 54, nays 46, abstentions 0.
Ayes 54, nays 46, abstention 0. Delegate Simon's motion to pass by Delegate LaRocque's floor amendment passes. Shall the bill pass? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 54, nays 46, abstentions 0.
Ayes 54, nays 46, abstention 0. The bill passes.
Returning to page 24 of the calendar, Senate Bill 313 went by temporarily. It has been read and...
The delegate from Sussex County, Delegate Tyler.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Senate Bill 313 simply just increases the board members from 7 to 10 to non-legislative citizens, members of the Board of Directors of New College Institute, for a total of 15 members. Ask the body to pass the bill.
Shall the bill pass? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 86, nays 10, abstentions 0.
Ayes 86, nays 10, abstention 0. The bill passes.
Returning to page 15 of the calendar, Senate Bill 818 went by temporarily. And the clerk.
The delegate. The House will be at ease. Will the clerk please re-report the floor amendment, Delegate Orrock?
Amendment to Senate Bill 818, offered by Delegate Orrock. Page 1, to the substitute, line 11, strike line 11.
The delegate from Caroline, Delegate Orrock.
Madam Speaker, as explained, this simply eliminates redundant language. It is already in the title of the bill, and this is already in the code section citing in the line above. It also is not the practice of the body to specifically name a bill in the code. So I hope the body will accept the floor amendment and then pass the bill.
Delegate from Roanoke City, Delegate Rasool.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Speaking to the amendment.
Delegate Rasool, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, I think this amendment falls under the category of make sure that the bill doesn't pass. So I think it's a make sure that the bill passes. So I think this is a friendly amendment.
Shall the floor amendment be agreed to? All those in favor, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, the floor amendment is agreed to. Shall the bill pass? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 97, nays 1, abstentions 0.
Ayes 97, nays 1, abstentions 0. The bill passes.
House bills with Senate amendments. Page 36 of the calendar. House Bill 169, a bill to amend and re-annex Section 65.2, 402.1 of the Code of Virginia relating to workers' compensation, presumption of compensability for certain diseases. There's a Senate substitute.
The delegate from Sussex County, Delegate Tyler.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move to accept the Senate substitute.
Delegate Tyler, could you please explain the substitute?
Yes, ma'am. The Senate substitute simply just add DMV to the list of the public safety employees who are entitled to a presumption that certain infection disease are compensable occupational disease. This basically conforms my House bill to Senate Bill 345.
Shall the Senate substitute be adopted? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 91, nays 7, abstentions 0.
Ayes 91, nays 7, abstentions 0. The Senate substitute is adopted.
Page 37, House Bill 330, a bill to amend the Code of Virginia by adding in Article 1 of Chapter 3 of Title 40.1, a section numbered 40.1, 28.7:7, relating to covenants not to compete, low-wage employees, civil penalty. And there is a Senate substitute.
The delegate from Enrico, Delegate Van Valkenburg.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, members of the body, I'm going to ask us to reject the Senate substitute. We have a couple things to work out, one with an exemption for low-wage employees around people on commission. One clause F in the Senate version, around kind of the teeth of the enforcement and also clarifying trade secrets. So I ask that you reject the Senate substitute so we can get this thing into conference.
Shall the Senate substitute be adopted? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 1, nays 96, abstentions 0.
Ayes 1, nays 96, abstentions 0. The Senate substitute is not adopted.
House Bill 337, a bill to amend the Code of Virginia by adding in Article 2 of Chapter 3 of Title 40.1, a section numbered 40.133.1, relating to prohibiting employers from discriminating against employees for instituting proceedings for non-payment of wages. There is a Senate amendment.
The delegate from Newport News, Delegate Price.
Yes, Madam Speaker and members. House Bill 337 would make it illegal to discriminate or fire someone based on their having filed a complaint, and would allow for investigations. As it was over there, it picked up the clause, so I would ask that we reject the Senate amendment.
Shall the Senate amendment be adopted? The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 2, nays 97, abstentions 0.
Ayes 2, nays 97, abstentions 0. Senate amendment fails.
House Bill 395, a bill to amend and reenact sections 40.1, 28.9, and 40.1, 28.10 of the Code of Virginia relating to the minimum wage. There is a Senate amendment.
The delegate from Hampton, Delegate Ward.
Yes, thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, ladies and gentlemen of the House, I'm going to ask that you reject the Senate amendment. It's quite different from the way my House bill left this House. It takes a regional approach. It takes longer, a lot longer, to reach the goal of $15 an hour. And as I've said once before, we are still working out some other exemptions. So once again, I ask you to reject the Senate amendment.
Shall the Senate amendment be adopted? The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 1, nays 97, abstentions 0.
Ayes 1, nays 97, abstentions 0. The Senate amendments fail.
Page 38, House Bill 408, a bill to amend and reenact Section 58.1, 439.12:05 of the Code of Virginia relating to green job creation tax credit, sunset date. There is a Senate amendment.
The delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Delaney.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker and members, I'm going to ask that we accept the Senate amendment. The amendment before you simply changes the new sunset date for this bill from 2026 to 2025 to conform with all of the other sunset extensions that we've seen. The original bill passed out of the body 64 to 35. I ask that you approve the Senate amendment and pass the bill.
Shall the Senate amendment be adopted? The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 58, nays 40, abstentions 0.
Ayes 58, nays 40, abstentions 0. The Senate amendment is adopted.
House Bill 590, a bill to amend and reenact Section 58.1, 439.12:04 of the Code of Virginia relating to tax credit for participating landlords, eligible housing areas. There are Senate amendments.
Delegate from Prince William, Delegate Guzman.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I would ask this body to accept the Senate amendment. It is just technical. It's deleting eligible housing areas because it doesn't deal with this bill, and it's including a sunset to the bill by 2025. And I hope that it's the pleasure of this body to accept the Senate amendment.
Shall the Senate amendment be adopted? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 52, nays 44, abstentions 0.
Ayes 52, nays 44, abstentions 0. The Senate amendments are adopted.
House Bill 655, a bill to amend the Code of Virginia by adding a section numbered 15.2-2303.5 relating to conditional zoning for solar photovoltaic projects. And there is a Senate substitute.
The delegate from Portsmouth, Delegate Heretic.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. House Bill 655 would provide local authority to our localities to evaluate permit applications for solar energy facilities. The Senate amendment would simply delete any minimum size requirement for those facilities and would change it from a conditional use evaluation to a special exception evaluation. I would ask the House to accept the Senate substitute.
Shall the Senate substitute be adopted? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 98, nays 0, abstentions 0.
Ayes 98, nays 0, abstentions 0. The Senate amendments are adopted.
Page 39, House Bill 795, a bill to amend and reenact sections 38.2, 34, 31, and other sections of the Code of Virginia relating to health insurance, association health plans. There is a Senate substitute.
The delegate from Montgomery, Delegate Hurst.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, I would ask that we reject the Senate substitute for House Bill 795. It still leaves some questions unanswered as to how we identify individuals who would be able to qualify for association health plans. So we need to get it into conference and figure this out. So please vote red on the Senate substitute.
Shall the Senate substitute be adopted? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 0, nays 99, abstentions 0.
Ayes 0, nays 99, abstentions 0. The Senate substitute fails.
House Bill 807, a bill to amend and reenact sections 32.1, 330.2, and 38.2, 3407.4 of the Code of Virginia relating to health care, explanation of benefits, sensitive health care services, and there is a Senate substitute.
The delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Delaney.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker and members of the body, I'm going to ask that we accept the Senate substitute. This is my bill that deals with explanation of benefits regarding sensitive medical care, especially sexual assault and domestic violence. The Senate amendments before you do conform to the Senate companion bill and have answered some lingering questions about how to implement this change with Medicaid plan. The original bill passed out of the body 99-0, and I ask that we approve this Senate substitute and pass the bill.
Shall the Senate substitute be adopted? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 99, nays 0, abstentions 0.
Ayes 99, nays 0, abstentions 0. The Senate substitute is adopted.
House Bill 1240, a bill to amend and reenact sections 38.2, 316, and other sections of the Code of Virginia relating to the regulation of legal services plans. There is a Senate substitute.
The delegate from Rockingham, Delegate Wilt.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, House Bill 1240 does deal with legal services plans. The Senate amendment would simply replace commission with commissioner, and I move we adopt the Senate amendment.
Shall the Senate amendment be adopted? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 97, nays 2, abstentions 0.
Ayes 97, nays 2, abstentions 0. The Senate amendment is adopted.
House Bill 1247, a bill to create a 6-year capital outlay plan for projects to be funded entirely or partially from general fund supported resources and to repeal chapters 715 and 722 of the Acts of Assembly of 2017. There is a Senate substitute.
The delegate from Prince William, Delegate Torian.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I'm going to ask that the House reject the Senate substitute.
The Senate substitute returns the bill to the introduced version. However, the House had adopted an amendment in the nature of the substitute, which, in the following, make technical changes to priorities and projects titles to reflect current agency project priorities. It adds several projects that reflected the priorities of the House members, such as GMU Academic 7/STEM building, the Virginia Tech replacement of Randolph Hall, VCU Art and Innovation building, two projects at VMI, and projects at state parks. Since the goal of the 6-year plan process was supposed to be a collaborative, nonpartisan effort by members of the House, the Senate, and the governor, the House changes reflect its inputs into the process. So, Madam Speaker, I ask that we reject the Senate amendment in the nature of a substitute.
Shall the Senate substitute be adopted? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 0, nays 99, abstentions 0.
Ayes 0, nays 99, abstentions 0. The Senate substitute fails.
Page 40, House Bill 1327, a bill to amend and re-enact Section 58.1-2606 of the Code of Virginia relating to property taxes, generating equipment of electric suppliers utilizing wind turbines. There is a Senate substitute.
The delegate from Botetourt, Delegate Austin.
Madam Speaker, House Bill 1327 with the Senate amendment requires that the projects be approved prior to July 1, 2020 to receive the cap on the machinery and tools tax credit. I would ask that we pass the Senate amendment.
The House will be at ease. HB 1327. Shall the Senate substitute be adopted? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 84, nays 9, abstentions 1.
Ayes 84, nays 9, abstentions 1. The Senate substitute is adopted.
House Bill 1339, a bill to amend and reenact Section 13.1-514 of the Code of Virginia and to repeal the third enactments of Chapters 354 and 400 of the Acts of Assembly of 2015 relating to the Securities Act, exemption for equity crowdfunding. There is a Senate substitute.
The delegate from Scott, Delegate Kilgore.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. House Bill 1339, when it left here, dealt with crowdfunding, and we were extending the deadline. Crowdfunding provisions were set to expire in this year, 2020, and we had missed something as it left the House that the Commission felt we needed, so we added that in the Senate, and both mine and Senator Edwards' bill should be the same now. So I would ask that we accept the Senate substitute.
Shall the Senate substitute be adopted? The clerk will be at the clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 97, nays 0, abstentions 0.
Ayes 97, nays 0, abstentions 0. The Senate substitute is adopted.
House Bill 1407, a bill to amend and reenact Sections 2.2, 4321, and other sections of the Code of Virginia relating to misclassification of employees as independent contractors, Department of Taxation to investigate and enforce, civil penalties. There is a Senate amendment.
The delegate from Hampton, Delegate Ward.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'm going to ask that we accept the Senate amendment or substitute, and I'll explain why. I was hoping you would ask. Okay, first, remember that we're going to establish an educational outreach program so businesses and workers would understand what classification and misclassification mean. But the first time there's an infraction, it's just a notice, no penalties. But the next time, you're going to be barred for 1 year. And the third time, you'll be barred for 3 years. I had said 2 years, but the Senate thought this is the third time, and perhaps we need to do 3 years. And it made sense to me. So I'm asking that you accept the Senate substitute.
Shall the Senate amendment be adopted? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 56, nays 43, abstentions 0.
Ayes 56, nays 43, abstentions 0. The Senate amendments are adopted.
House Bill 1495, a bill to amend and reenact Section 51.1.155 of the Code of Virginia relating to Virginia retirement system, retired law enforcement officers employed as school security officers. There is a Senate substitute.
The delegate from Prince William, Delegate Torian.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I'm going to ask that we reject the Senate substitute. The Senate substitute contains technical amendments. It removes our every 4-year review of the program and removes the sunset date when the program would need to be reauthorized. And the Senate also put the clause on the 1495. So please reject the Senate substitute.
Shall the Senate substitute be adopted? Clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 0, nays 99, abstentions 0.
Ayes 0, nays 99, abstentions 0. The Senate substitute is not adopted.
Page 41, House Bill 1503, a bill to amend and reenact Section 38.2, 3418.17 of the Code of Virginia relating to health insurance coverage for autism spectrum disorder. There is a Senate substitute.
The delegate from Hampton, Delegate Ward.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'm going to ask that you accept the Senate substitute. It does basically nothing except, it's a better wording, really, is explanation for it. They're essentially the same bill, but the drafting is a little bit cleaner in this one. So I ask that you accept the substitute.
Shall the very, very substantive Senate amendment be adopted? All those in favor on the board. The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 97, nays 1, abstentions 1.
Ayes 97, nays 1, abstentions 1. The Senate substitute is adopted.
Resolutions on the uncontested calendar. Senate Joint Resolution 31 designated the honor and sacrifice flag as the Commonwealth's emblem for honoring the brave men and women who have given their lives for public safety. Reported from Rules.
Delegate from Portsmouth, Delegate Heretic. Oh, I'm sorry, Delegate from Norfolk, Delegate Jones.
Madam Speaker, I ask for a motion.
Yes, Delegate Jones, you have the floor.
Can Senate Joint Resolution 31 on page 41 go by for the day, please?
All those in favor of SJ 31 going by for the day shall say aye. Those opposed, SJ 31 goes by for the day.
Senate Joint Resolution 51, designating November in 2020 and in each succeeding year as World Prematurity Month, and November 17 in 2020 and in each succeeding year as World Prematurity Day in Virginia. Reported from Rules.
Delegate from Newport News, Delegate Mullen.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I believe that was perfectly described, and I would ask that we pass the resolution.
Page 42, Senate Joint Resolution 60, encouraging the advancement of nuclear energy research and the exploration of economic development opportunities related to nuclear energy. Reported from Rules.
Delegate from Newport News, Delegate Mullen.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, SJ 60 just explores the different opportunities for research as well as economic development that we have. You know what, I'm just repeating what the clerk said. This is a good resolution.
Senate Joint Resolution 68, designating December in 2020 and in each succeeding year as Puppy Mill Awareness Month in Virginia. Reported from Rules.
Delegate from Newport News, Delegate Mullen.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I think that perfectly describes the resolution. I ask that it pass.
Senate Joint Resolution 78, commemorating the 150th anniversary of the swearing-in of the first African American legislators to serve in the General Assembly. Reported from Rules.
Delegate from Newport News, Delegate Mullen.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I would ask that we pass this resolution.
Page 43, Senate Joint Resolution 80, designating April 19 to 25 in 2020 and in each succeeding year as National Prosthodontics Awareness Week in Virginia. Reported from Rules with amendments.
Delegate from Prince William, Delegate Rome.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, the bill that is before you is slightly different from the bill that passed this House unanimously, HJ 104. So I will move to just pass the bill by for the day, see if we can iron that out.
All those in favor of SJ 80 going by for the day say aye. Those opposed, SJ 80 will go by for the day.
Senate Joint Resolution 86, designating September in 2020 and in each succeeding year as Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month in Virginia. Reported from Rules.
Delegate from Newport News, Delegate Mullen.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I actually, this one's pretty close to my heart, so I hope we will all pass this resolution.
Shall the resolutions be agreed to? The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 100, nays 0, abstentions 0.
Ayes 100, nays 0, abstentions 0. The resolutions are agreed to.
Madam Speaker.
Yeah, Delegate from Prince William, Delegate Rome.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, having voted on the prevailing side by which we passed by SJ 80 for the day, I would motion to reconsider as the Rules Committee amendments do conform to the resolution that passed unanimously through the House.
All those in favor of reconsidering SJ 80 shall say aye. Those opposed, SJ 80 is reconsidered.
And Madam Chair, or Madam Speaker?
Yes.
Sorry, you're the
Delegate
chair of the
Rome.
Rules Committee, so that's why. Madam Speaker, I move adoption of the committee amendments.
Fancy pants.
Very fancy. Parliamentary inquiry. Parliamentary inquiry. Did the font change? I like the other better.
All the things that I have in here.
I feel so bad that Kirk has to sit right here.
The House will come to order. Will the clerk please report the resolution?
Senate 80, designating April 19 to 25 in 2020 and in each succeeding year as National Prosthodontics Awareness Week in Virginia, reported from rules with amendments.
Delegate from Prince William, Delegate Rome.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move the amendments.
All those in favor of the amendment say aye. All those opposed? Amendments are agreed to. Delegate Rome.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, what the amendments here just did is we just included, we changed, basically what happens is April 19th to 25th of this year becomes National Prosthodontics Awareness Week, and then in every subsequent year, it is the final full week of April. I move passage of the Senate resolution.
Oh, for God's sakes.
Shall the resolution be agreed to? The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 99, nays 1, 0.
Ayes 99, nays 1, abstention 0. The resolution is agreed to.
Resolutions on regular calendar.
The House will come to order.
Put that language in the
Resolutions on regular calendar, page 44, Senate Joint Resolution 67, directing the Joint Audit and Review Commission to study and make recommendations for how Virginia should legalize and regulate the growth, sale, and possession of marijuana and address the impacts of marijuana prohibition. Report. Reported from rules with substitute.
The delegate from Newport News, Delegate Mullen.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, with SJ 67, we will be establishing a large joint review commission that we are going to be studying the legalization of growth, sale, and possession of marijuana so that we can figure out a path towards legalization. Thank you. Oh, and I would move the committee substitute.
Shall the committee substitute be agreed to? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed? The committee substitute is agreed to. Delegate Mullen.
Madam Speaker, I would ask that we pass the resolution.
Shall the resolution be agreed to? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 63, nays 36, abstentions 0.
Ayes 63, nays 36, abstentions 0. The resolution is agreed to.
Memorial resolutions to be considered in block with the exception of House Joint Resolution 267 on page 46 of the calendar, are found on pages 44 through 47 of the printed calendar.
Does any member desire to remove a resolution from the block? Hearing none, all those in favor of adopting in block the memorial resolutions laid on the Speaker's table found on pages 44 to 47 of the calendar with the exception of HJR 267 on page 46 shall rise. The resolutions are agreed to.
Commending resolutions. Commending resolutions laid on the Speaker's table. The resolutions to be adopted are listed on pages 48 through 56 of the calendar, with the exception of Senate Joint Resolution 212 on page 448, House Joint Resolution 212 on page 48, House Joint Resolution 245 on page 51, and House Joint Resolution 274 on page 53.
Does any member desire to remove a resolution from the block? Delegate from Roanoke City, Delegate Rasool.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise for a motion.
Delegate Rasool.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Can my resolutions, House Joint Resolutions 279 through 286 on pages 54 and 55, go by for the day?
All those in favor of HJ 279 through 286, Delegate Rasool's go by for the day. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, 279 through 286 will go by for the day. Does any member desire to remove a resolution from the block in addition to the several the clerk just announced?
Madam Speaker.
Yes, Delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Sickles.
Madam Speaker, I would request that HJR 292 on page 88 go by for the day.
All those in favor of adopting the commending resolutions laid on the Speaker's table, found on pages 48 through 56, with the exceptions of ones the clerk just announced, and also 292, will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, the resolutions are agreed to.
Madam Speaker, that completes the calendar.
51, the House has returned to morning hour. Does the clerk have any additional announcements or communications?
Before I read the meeting schedule, the Speaker has appointed some conference appointees. House Bill 259. House conferees are Delegates Simon, Mullen, and Adams of Pittsylvania. That's House Bill 259, Delegates Simon, Mullen, and Adams of Pennsylvania. House Bill 405, Delegates Keem, Tyler, and Avoli. That's HB 405, Delegates Keem, Tyler, and Avoli. House Bill 648, Delegates Hurst, Adams of Richmond City, and Hodges. HB 648, Delegates Hurst, Adams of Richmond City, and Hodges. House Bill 792, Delegates Simon, Bourne, and Leftwich. That's House Bill 792, Delegates Simon, Bourne, and Leftwich. House Bill 861, Delegates Levine, Heretic, and Kilgore. HB 861, Delegates Levine, Heretic, and Kilgore. House Bill 1150, Delegates Lopez, Mullen, and Coiner. That's House Bill 1150, Delegates Lopez, Mullen, and Coiner. Going to the meeting schedule for Monday, February 24th. Courts of Justice Committee meets immediately upon adjournment of the House in House Room 3. Courts of Justice Civil Subcommittee meets immediately upon adjournment of the full committee, House Room 1. Courts of Justice Criminal Subcommittee meets immediately upon adjournment of full committee, House Room 3. The Appropriations Committee has been canceled. Appropriations Higher Ed Subcommittee has been canceled. Appropriations Transportation and Public Safety Subcommittee meets at 4 p.m. in the shared committee room. Agriculture Chesapeake and Natural Resources Chesapeake Subcommittee meets at 4 p.m. in room 300A Subcommittee room. Education Pre-K through 12 Subcommittee meets 4 p.m. 400C Subcommittee room. Transportation Motor Vehicle Subcommittee has been canceled. Privileges and Elections Constitutional Amendments Subcommittee has been canceled. Meetings for Tuesday morning, February 25th. Privileges and Elections Subcommittee has been canceled. The Conservative Caucus meets at 7:30 a.m., 200B Subcommittee Room. The Labor Caucus meets at 7:30 a.m., 300B Subcommittee Room. The Animal Welfare Caucus has been canceled. Health, Welfare, and Institutions meets at 8 a.m., House Committee Room. Public Safety Firearms Subcommittee has been canceled. Transportation Committee has been canceled. The Democratic Caucus meets at 11 a.m., and the Republican Caucus meets at 11 a.m. Sorry, that was House Room 1 for the Democratic Caucus and House Room 2 for the Republican Caucus. The Education Pre-K through 12 Subcommittee has been canceled.
The delegate from Alexandria, Delegate Herring.
Madam Speaker, I move that when the House adjourns today, it adjourn to reconvene Tuesday, February 25th, 2020 at 12 noon.
The delegate from Alexandria, Delegate Herring, moves that when the House adjourned today, it adjourn to reconvene Tuesday, February 25th, 2020 at 12 o'clock noon. As the many in favor of that motion shall say aye. Aye. Those opposed, the motion is agreed to. Delegate Herring.
Madam Speaker, I move that the House do now adjourn.
The delegate from Alexandria, Delegate Herring, moves that the House do now adjourn. As many as favor of the motion shall say aye. Aye. Those opposed, the motion is agreed to. The House stands adjourned until Tuesday, February 25th, 2020 at 12 o'clock noon.